Chapter 1093. Information can still be written in other hardware? Yang Ming originally only knew how to use a mobile phone. He didn't know that the mobile phone had so many uses. At this moment, he understood why this encrypted mobile phone was used by many organizations. It turned out that it was so difficult to crack. Of course. Zhou Jiejia nodded and said, "Let's not talk about these professional encrypted mobile phones for military use. Let's talk about our civilian mobile phones. For example, the Nokia mobile phone that you and I use, the power of the mobile phone is encrypted." Power? Yang Ming was confused. It is the UEM Power Manager chip in the mobile phone. Do you know that there is an IMEI string code in every mobile phone? Zhou Jiejia said, Nokia's IMEI code is not only in the flash memory library, but also in the power chip. Only when the two codes are the same, the mobile phone will operate normally. Otherwise, there will be a notification that the mobile phone is restricted or 2 lines of English. Moreover, the power chip is written once and can't be changed. That is to say, if your encrypted mobile phone uses a similar technology, it will write the password error message to other chips. If it is the kind that cannot be erased, then the method mentioned before has no meaning. Yang Ming nodded. He also roughly understood what Zhou Jiejia said. Although Yang Ming didn't know the specific role of the UEM chip, Yang Ming could still understand its role in encryption. What is the other method? The other method is more reliable, but it is more complicated to implement. Zhou Jiejia said, the other method is actually what I just said. It is to cooperate with the computer to perform simulation operations on the hardware of the mobile phone. However, the communication between the mobile phone and the computer is more complicated because there is no debugging interface. It can only be inferred from the peripheral circuit. If you really find a connection point that can be debugged, then the mobile phone may be decrypted. The specific operation method is that after the mobile phone verification program is executed, the computer sets a breakpoint to make the program in an interrupted state. That is, the program is forcibly interrupted before the program jumps to the step of writing the error message. Of course, it is also possible that the program has an anti-debugging function, so you can only use a forced power cut to cut off the writing operation of the mobile phone. If this method is used properly, the real password can be cracked by brute force. This is also the way I intend to try. Okay, then do it according to your method. Yang Ming nodded and said, I hope it will succeed. I will publish some information and pictures of this mobile phone in our hacker circle. It may be faster if everyone studies it together. Do you mind? Zhou Jiejia asked Yang Ming for his opinion. It doesn't matter, but others won't ask you where you got this thing. It won't cause any trouble, right? Yang Ming reminded. That won't happen. Yes. Yang Ming nodded and was relieved. He didn't understand some of the rules in the hacker world, and the rules of each hacker organization were different. Yang Ming couldn't understand it. This was just like how Zhou Jiejia didn't understand the rules of the assassin world. The mobile phone was left with Zhou Jiejia. Auntie Li also called and said that dinner was ready. She asked Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia to go down to eat. So, the two tidied up the clothes that were messy when they kissed before and went downstairs. Auntie Li's craftsmanship was quite good, but according to her own words, she was trained by the housekeeping company before she became a nanny, so it wasn't a big deal. However, Yang Ming believed that if Auntie Li didn't have the talent, it was useless to learn. So many people went to the chef school to learn, but there were only a few people who could be top chefs. Therefore, learning was one aspect, and personal understanding was also very important. A plate of bamboo shoots fried with meat and a plate of stir-fried cabbage were originally 2 very ordinary home-cooked dishes, but they became delicious in Auntie Li's hands. However, Chen Mingyan's dishes were also good. It was a different style from Auntie Li's. Auntie Li's dishes were more spicy, and Chen Mingyan's dishes were more light. Each had its own merits. Yang Ming and Zhou Jiejia naturally praised when they ate. Today was not Saturday. Yang Ming wanted to let Zhou Jiejia stay at home, but because the school started not long ago, the female dormitory was particularly strict. So, after dinner, Yang Ming drove Zhou Jiejie back to school. Is the mobile phone thing urgent? Zhou Jiejie asked when she got out of the car. No hurry. You can do it when you have time. You don't have to specifically study it, said Yang Ming. After all, Yang Ming didn't have much hope in the beginning, but Zhou Jiejie said that it was possible to solve it. However, Yang Ming didn't want Zhou Jiejie to delay her normal study because of this mobile phone. Watching Zhou Jiejie enter the female dormitory building, Yang Ming started the car. He didn't know where to go. Young Master Tian and Wang Shui went to have fun. Zhou Jiejie was the class cadre, so she had to set an example. However, Wang Shui didn't need to do that. Even if she wasn't in the dormitory and was caught by the tutor, it didn't matter. Anyway, Tian Donghua was already registered in the school, and his girlfriend was Wang Shui. The teachers in the department also knew, so there weren't any particularly strict requirements. Zhang Bin, Zhao Sisi, Chen Mengyan, and Lin Jian went to the jewelry company to work. Zhao Sisi, Chen Mengyan, and Lin Jian had already asked for leave because of the company's matters in the school, so it didn't matter if they weren't in the dormitory. Nowadays, universities generally encouraged students to find jobs and start their own businesses in advance. After all, the purpose of going to university was to find a job after graduation, and capable students could find jobs or start their own businesses before graduation. The university also reduced the pressure of public opinion on employment and looked good. Therefore, after Zhao Sisi and the others submitted a leave request with the company's official seal, the university's leaders naturally approved it. It was meaningless for Yang Ming to go back to the school dormitory. It was also meaningless for him to go home. Xiao Qing was doing experiments again. For the first time, Yang Ming realized the feeling of loneliness when there were many women. Picking up the phone, Yang Ming called Sun Jie. He wanted to see if she was there so that he could give her a piece of jewelry. Previously, because of Xia Wenjin and Qi Jida, Yang Ming's mood was in a mess, so he forgot the gift for Xiao Qing in the car. He even forgot the gift for Zhou Jiejie. He only remembered it now. However, Zhou Jiejie and Xiao Qing weren't outsiders, so it was the same when he gave it. Dear little Jiejie, where are you? Yang Ming dialed Sun Jie's phone. Ugh. Yang Ming, I'm Sun Hongjun. Sun Hongjun heard his daughter's phone in the living room ring. He picked it up and saw that the caller ID showed Yang Ming's name, so he picked it up. He didn't expect Yang Ming to say such mushy and ambiguous words in the first sentence. It made Sun Hongjun's face a little hot. He thought, I really shouldn't have picked up this phone call. Why did I listen to the sweet words between young people? Yang Ming was stunned, and then he was a little embarrassed. Previously, when he called Sun Jie, it was Sun Hongjun who answered. This time, it was Sun Hongjun who answered the phone. Yang Ming said with some embarrassment, Uncle Sun, where is little Jie? Little Jie drove back in the afternoon. She just chatted with me for a while. She was a little sleepy, so she went upstairs to rest. Her phone was left in the living room. Are you looking for her for an urgent matter? Asked Sun Hongjun. Ugh, nothing urgent. I just made a phone call. Yang Ming thought, I can't say that I want your daughter to sleep with me, right? Besides, Sun Jie has returned to Donghai. I can't accompany her even if I want to. Oh. I see. Right, little Jie has returned to Donghai. You didn't know? Sun Hongjun listened to Yang Ming's tone. It seemed that he didn't know that Sun Jie had returned to Donghai. These few days, I was busy with the Songjiang jewelry exhibition. I haven't contacted little Jie. Now that the exhibition is over, I called her, said Yang Ming. So it's like this. I also heard that the exhibition was handled by your Mingyang security company. The matter was handled very well. Not bad. Sun Hongjun praised after listening. It's quite well done. I called little Jia to talk about this. Yang Ming said, since she is asleep, then forget it. When she wakes up, I will ask her to call you back. Sun Hongjun said, do you have time to come to Donghai to play? Uncle Sun, you see that I am so busy every day. How can I have time? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. That's true. In our position, there are always a lot of troubles every day. Sun Hongjun thought so. Yang Ming broke into a sweat. He said in his heart, when did I become on equal footing with you? Did my status increase? That's fine. Let's do this first. When little Jia wakes up, ask her to contact me. Yang Ming said. Okay, when she wakes up, I will tell her and ask her to call you back. Sun Hongjun nodded and said. Yang Ming hung up the phone and began to think about who else he could look for. Now, there was only Wang Xiaoyan left. Zhao Ying was definitely out of the question. The previous matter had not been explained clearly. Now, even if he looked for her, it would be awkward. Thinking of this, Yang Ming was ready to dial Wang Xiaoyan's phone to see what she was doing. However, just as Yang Ming was about to dial, Yang Ming's phone suddenly rang. Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID. It was a call from Bao Sanli, so he pressed the answer button. What's the matter? Yang Ming picked up the phone and asked. If there was nothing important, Bao Sanli would not call Yang Ming. Generally, he would discuss with Yang Ming to solve it. Only when he couldn't solve it, he would ask Yang Ming. Brother Yang, something happened. Bao Sanli's voice sounded a little anxious and uneasy. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he immediately said. Something happened? What happened? Yang Ming also smelled something unusual from Bao Sanli's tone. It's Shin Yushi. She fell from the corridor where she lived. Said Bao Sanli. Shin Yushi? Who is that? Yang Ming was stunned. I don't seem to have heard of this name. Who is Shin Yushi? She is the greeter of the Nightless Club. Now she is the foreman. The girl who was kidnapped by the gangsters that day. Bao Sanli saw that Yang Ming didn't understand, and suddenly sweated. It seems that I really misunderstood. Brother Yang didn't have the intention of liking Shin Yushi at all. Otherwise, it was impossible that he didn't even know her name. However, after Bao Sanli's reminder, Yang Ming had some impression. He remembered the girl who looked very sweet that day. It turned out to be her. Fell from the building? What happened? Did her family sue the Nightless Club or something? Yang Ming didn't understand how an employee falling from the building was considered an accident. This wasn't a big deal. How could Bao Sanli be so flustered? Is there any unspeakable secret in it? When the association thought of the girl's appearance, Yang Ming's heart tightened. Could it be that there were some higher-ups in the Nightless Club who wanted to play with the unspoken rules? So that led to the disaster? Thinking of this, Yang Ming looked solemn. He said, Baozi, what the hell is going on? Is it done by our internal people? What kind of unspoken rules do they want to play with? Bao Sanli sweated after hearing it. He thought, Brother Yang, you don't know what Shin Yushi's identity is now. She is your woman. Who dares to play with the unspoken rules? Isn't that courting death? However, after listening to Yang Ming, Bao Sanli's originally nervous heart was relieved. If Shin Yushi wasn't the woman that Yang Ming liked, then it would be much easier to handle. The reason why Bao Sanli was so nervous just now was entirely because Shin Yushi was Yang Ming's rumored girlfriend. Bao Sanli was afraid that Yang Ming would be angry and blame him. Seeing that Bao Sanli didn't speak, Yang Ming was more convinced of his thoughts. He asked, Baozi, what the hell is going on? Who would be so daring? Could it be you? Because Bao Sanli didn't speak for a long time, Yang Ming naturally thought that the person who played with the unspoken rules was Bao Sanli himself. Otherwise, why would he be nervous? Brother Yang. You misunderstood. How could it be me? Bao Sanli quickly denied with a bitter smile. The reason why I am so nervous is that it is widely rumored in the nightless club that Shin Yushi is your woman. Mine? Yang Ming was stunned. Is there a mistake? How did it become mine? Maybe you were misunderstood by others and you heroically rescued Shin Yushi that day and fought with the gangsters. So, the rumors spread, and in the end, it became like this. Bao Sanli explained. Thinking about what Bao Sanli said, it was indeed possible. Yang Ming sighed and said, but since she is my woman, then there is no possibility of the unspoken rules. Then, you tell me now. What is going on? Shin Yushi went home after the day shift today. However, we just received a call from the police saying that Shin Yushi fell from the second-floor platform in her own corridor and was unconscious. Now, she has been sent to the hospital. Bao Sanli said, we don't know the specific reason, but according to the police's judgment from the scene and the emergency doctor's examination of Shin Yushi's body, they found that Shin Yushi should have been pushed down. Moreover, there were contusions on Shin Yushi's body. It should be caused by a push. Criminal case? Yang Ming's heart suddenly tightened when he heard it. He didn't know why, but when he thought of the young and beautiful Shin Yushi that day and how she was gone today, his heart felt heavy and unspeakable bitterness. Yang Ming was not a bad person. He was only cruel to those who violated his bottom line. Yang Ming was still very kind to ordinary people. Moreover, Yang Ming's heart was also very soft, so when he thought of Shin Yushi's current appearance, his heart suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. It's not clear yet. It's still not clear. After all, the corridor is a place where people come and go. Most of the traces are gone. The police only judged from the angle of the fall because it is impossible for people to accidentally fall from above. Then, there are only two possibilities. One is that he was pushed down, and the other is that he jumped down by himself, but this still needs to be investigated. Bao Sanli sighed and said. Which hospital is Shin Yushi in now? I'll go and take a look. Yang Ming's heart was also a little heavy. First People's Hospital. I'm here. Captain Xia of the Criminal Investigation Team is also here. Bao Sanli naturally knew Xia Shui. Although Xia Shui probably knew some of Bao Sanli's past, after all, he was now the general manager of the security company. He was a legitimate entrepreneur. The security company was also a subordinate company of the police station, so Xia Shui was very polite to Bao Sanli. She also attached great importance to this case. Give the phone to her. Yang Ming thought about it and said to Bao Sanli. Okay. After Bao Sanli finished speaking, he handed the phone to Xia Shui, who was talking to the doctor. Captain Xia, your phone. Mine? Xia Shui picked up the phone with some doubts, but after hearing Yang Ming's voice, Xia Shui suddenly realized, it's you. Why are you looking for me at this time? I'm working. I'm talking about work. That Shin Yushi is my friend. What's going on? Is there any progress? Asked Yang Ming. Yang Ming also knew that Xia Shui would not disclose some of the latest cases to Bao Sanli, but Yang Ming was different. Xia Shui knew Yang Ming's identity, so she would not hide it from Yang Ming. Besides, it was not the first time that the two of them worked together to solve cases. Friend? Xia Shui smiled after listening. She said in a weird tone, what kind of friend? It was no wonder. Shin Yushi was so beautiful. For Yang Ming, this pervert, Xia Shui naturally thought of something else. Just ordinary friends. Yang Ming sweated. Hurry up and talk about the case. Initially, it can be determined that the injured person had a physical dispute with others before she was injured. There are traces of her pants being torn, said Xia Shui. However, the injured person's hymen is intact. She should not have been violated. Then, it is also possible that she jumped down herself. Although Xia Shui said it simply, Yang Ming also understood some of the meaning. It is also possible. Now, the injured person is undergoing emergency surgery. It is not over yet. Everything has to wait until the injured person wakes up. said Xia Shui concisely. I will go over now, Yang Ming said after listening to Xia Shui's words. Chapter 1094. Yang Ming hung up the phone and let out a sigh of relief. He thought it was a conflict within the Nightless Club. That would be bad. He had been coordinating these industries for less than a year, and such a horrible thing had happened internally. Yang Ming found it hard to accept. However, even if Shin Yushi was hurt because of other things, Yang Ming still felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. Although it had nothing to do with her, Yang Ming still vaguely remembered Shin Yushi's face since they had met. She was a very beautiful and sunny little girl. Now that such a thing had happened, it was not what Yang Ming wanted to see. Perhaps, she was also a little princess at home who was doted on by her parents, but she also had to work hard at the bottom of society in order to make a living. As a greeter in the Nightless Club, it could be imagined that her family was not very good. After all, if the family had a little bit of connections, they could also find a similar job for their child. Therefore, after such a thing happened, this kind of weak family often chose to deal with it in silence. If Shin Yushi's incident happened to Qin Mengyan, Yang Ming did not even have to do it. Chen Fei could clean up the criminal. If she fell into Yang Ming's hands, she would not even be able to beg for death. Thinking of the gap between them, Yang Ming felt a little emotional. Since he had encountered this matter, then he should take care of it. In any case, Shin Yushi was his employee, and she was also his rumored girlfriend. What made Yang Ming angry was that since there was news that Shin Yushi was his rumored girlfriend, then whether it was true or not, if someone dared to make a move on Shin Yushi, it meant that they did not put Yang Ming in their eyes. Moreover, there were a lot of things happening recently. Yang Ming thought that the person who made a move on Shin Yushi was targeting him, and Shin Yushi was just a victim. Thinking of this, Yang Ming quickly drove to Songjiang City's First People's Hospital. Xia Wenjin was at home. Xia Wenjin sat on the sofa with a bitter face, smoking one cigarette after another. His fingers that pinched the cigarette but kept trembling, and his voice was a little hurried. I killed someone. Lu Zhaojun and Qi Zhida also sat silently at the side, not knowing what to do. Cousin, the previous idea was also from you. After the accident, you can't ignore me. Xia Wenjin saw that everyone was silent, and he was a little anxious. Wenjin, it's not that I don't care about you. We are also thinking of a way. Lu Zhaojun was also very scared at the moment. After all, in terms of family background, he couldn't compare to Xia Wenjin and Qi Zhida at all. If he was made a scapegoat, it would be over. Third brother, I don't think we should be blamed for this. That chick jumped down herself. What does it have to do with us? We didn't push her. Qi Zhida hesitated and said. Even so, if I didn't take off her clothes, would she have jumped? Xia Wenjin worriedly said. His body kept trembling. He couldn't control his emotions. Although he bullied the weak at school, this was the first time he killed someone. If you don't say it, who will know what's going on? Qi Zhida was more courageous. He hesitated for a moment and suggested. But, can't Shin Yushi say it herself? Asked Xia Wenjin. First, you look at her now. Can she still wake up? Second, even if she wakes up, she jumped down herself. If we don't admit that it has anything to do with us, then what can she do? Lu Zhaojun listened to Qi Zhida's words and began to come up with ideas. Can this work? Xia Wenjin asked with some hesitation. What's wrong with that? Now, many rich people often say that black is white. Aren't they still living well? Qi Zhida said disdainfully, this matter is easy for me to handle. Let's just say that Shin Yushi is a nightclub hostess. Once, you went to the Nightless Club to play. Third brother, you drank too much, and then you had sex with her. Both of you were willing, but after that, Shin Yushi didn't want to do it. She wanted to take the opportunity to extort a sum of money from you. If you didn't give her the money, she would pester you. If you didn't give her the money, she would tell our school about it and let the school punish you. Then, I pushed her down in a fit of anger? Xia Wenjin listened to Qi Jida's words and was somewhat inexplicable. That won't work. Isn't that still my fault? Wait, listen to me. I haven't finished yet. Qi Jida waved his hand and continued, didn't she threaten you to tell the school? Xia Wenjin nodded and didn't speak. He listened to Qi Jida's words attentively. So, you planned to go to her house today and tell her parents what she had done. Her parents thought that Shin Yushi was a pure child, so you planned to tell them those dirty things. Qi Jida continued, then, Shin Yushi didn't agree, but we insisted on going. So, there was a dispute and a physical struggle in the corridor of her house. Then, when you were struggling, you accidentally pushed Shin Yushi down? An accident? Is it a mistake? Hearing this, Xia Wenjin also understood something, but his brain wasn't as good as Qi Jida's. He wasn't as good as Qi Jida at shirking responsibility. Bullshit. Qi Jida quickly shook his head. Third brother, why do you always take responsibility for yourself? Obviously, you didn't push her. Shin Yushi, that chick, jumped down herself. Why did you say that you did it? Even if it was a mistake, we can't admit it. It has nothing to do with us. Why should we be responsible for it? Yes. It's not a mistake. It has nothing to do with us. She jumped down herself. But why did she jump down? Xia Wenjin nodded, but he was somewhat inexplicable. We insisted on telling her parents about her behavior. When she was anxious, she threatened us with jumping off the building. We weren't afraid of her, so we used words to provoke her and said that she should jump if she had the ability. Then, she was agitated and didn't hold on to it, so she really jumped down. Qi Jida said, in this way, Brother Lu and I will be your witnesses. Even if Shin Yushi turns the world upside down, we won't be afraid of her. Can it work? Didn't you inquire about it? Shin Yushi is a virgin. The police aren't stupid, right? They won't not check, right? Xia Wenjin finally became smart for once. Why are you so stupid? You see that chick, Shin Yushi, is so badass now. It's obvious that she hooked up with a rich man. That's why she was promoted to the position of foreman. Think about it. If she didn't do it with someone, who would work so hard to promote her? She used to be a virgin, but now she definitely isn't. So, what you said is definitely not a problem. Qi Jida waved his hand and said as if everything was under control, moreover, I think the possibility of Shin Yushi speaking up is relatively small. She fell like that. How can she recover? Taking a step back, even if she doesn't die, she is a disabled person. The person who promoted her can't find a disabled person to be his mistress. He must have said goodbye to her. In this way, Shin Yushi's medical expenses are also a problem. You can give her family some money and pretend to be a good person. As long as she doesn't sue, everything will be fine, right? Maybe she will be touched and let you sleep with her. Then, she is disabled. How can I sleep with her? Xia Wenjin listened in a daze. Why can't you sleep with her if she is disabled? She is not disfigured, and she is not mute. She can still scream. You will still feel good. Qi Jida said lasciviously. That's true. Xia Wenjin was so tricked by Qi Jida that he suddenly fell into an infinitely beautiful fantasy. Lu Zhaojun was not Xia Wenjin. He looked at things from the perspective of a third party. Although Qi Jida's plan was okay, there were many loopholes. However, at this time, it could only be done this way. Anyway, Xia Wenjin's family was rich. If it didn't work, he could just spend money to avoid disaster. Shouldn't we inform Uncle about this? Lu Zhaojun thought for a moment and reminded him, no matter what, Uncle's network is still very wide. Let him go and try to find someone, okay? Xia Wenjin listened to Lu Zhaojun's words and felt that it was necessary to talk to his father to find a solution. So, Xia Wenjin dialed his father's phone. Xia Wenjin's father was in a meeting, but when he heard that Xia Wenjin was involved in a lawsuit, he hurried back. In fact, the truth of the matter was that Lu Zhaojun came up with a bad idea. After Shen Yushi got off work, Xia Wenjin followed Shen Yushi to a place where no one was and forced to sleep with her. Lu Zhaojun's analysis was that Shen Yushi was now involved with a big boss. If news of her being raped spread, the big boss would probably not want her anymore. So, after being raped, she could only swallow her anger. In this way, Xia Wenjin could not only vent his anger, but also get benefits and do what he had always wanted to do. Xia Wenjin thought about it. This is good. There is no risk, and I can still exo Shen Yushi, whom I have always dreamed of. So, he clenched his teeth and did it. However, he found that after Shen Yushi became the foreman, she was on the day shift. That was to say, there was no chance for her to work the night shift, so he could only do it during the day. It couldn't be helped. He followed Shen Yushi all the way, but he found that the roadside was full of people. Even if it was a small road, there were many stalls selling vegetables. It was only when they reached the community where Shen Yushi lived that there were fewer people. Seeing that Shen Yushi went upstairs, there would be no more chance if he didn't make a move. So, Xia Wenjin simply implemented his plan in the corridor of Shen Yushi's house, but Shen Yushi, this chick, was very stubborn. She refused to obey him. Lu Zhaojun and Qi Zhida held her down, but they didn't pull down her pants. With a little carelessness, they didn't expect Shen Yushi to jump down from the window of the second-floor corridor. So the tragedy happened. Xia Wenjin and the others looked down and found that Shen Yushi had fallen in a pool of blood. It was unknown whether she was dead or alive. Xia Wenjin was dumbfounded at the time. He only wanted to retaliate against Shen Yushi, but he didn't want to kill anyone. Now that such a thing has happened, what should I do? Xia Wenjin didn't want to go to jail. He was still young. However, Qi Zhida and Lu Zhaojun reacted quickly. When they saw that the situation was not good, they quickly pulled Xia Wenji and fled the scene together. After all, if something really happened, the two of them were also accomplices. It was impossible for them not to be responsible. Now, if Xia Wenjin was fine, then Lu Zhaojun and Qi Zhida would also be fine. If something happened to Xia Wenjin, they certainly couldn't escape the responsibility, so they racked their brains to help Xia Wenjin get out of the crime. Xia Wenjin's father, Xia Changshui, hurriedly returned home. With an anxious expression, he looked at the three helpless children sitting on the sofa. He frowned and said, "Wenjin, what's going on?" Xia Wenjin just wanted to tell the truth, but he was kicked by Qi Zhida on the side. Xia Wenji immediately understood and told Xia Zhangshui the story that the three of them had made up. Xia Zhangshui listened to his son's flawed words and sighed in his heart. If this was directly heard by the police, then it would be over. However, Xia Zhangshui had been in the business world for many years. He knew how to say some things. He roughly understood the process of the matter, but Xia Zhangshui did not expose his son's lie. After all, at this time, it was useless to ask the truth. He could only think of ways to remedy it. Xia Zhangshui pondered for a while and deeply modified Xia Wenjin's story. Then, he told his modified story to Xia Wenjin, Lu Zhaojun, and Qi Zhida. Then, he took out the phone and dialed a number. "Secretary Wang, you check the family background of 701, Building 3, Unit 6, Electric Carbon Community for me." Xia Wenjin said, "The sooner the better. Find something and report it." "Yes, you must do it as soon as possible." After hanging up the phone, Xia Zhangshui sighed and waited quietly for the news. It didn't take long for Secretary Wang to send a text message. After Xia Zhangshui glanced at it, he picked up the phone again. "Brotherly? I am old Xia Zhangshui." Xia Zhangshui said respectfully and politely. "President Xia, why are you looking for me?" Asked Mr. Li. "This is the case. My son has encountered some trouble. Can you help to inquire about it and then deal with it?" Said Xia Zhangshui. What's the matter? Isn't your son my nephew? Just say it. The relationship between Mr. Li and Xia Zhangshui was obviously good. They were very close. This is the case. Xia Zhangshui told about the trouble Xia Wenjin encountered. What is the background of the girl's family? Mr. Li didn't say anything after listening. He just asked. She lives in the electric carbon plant community in Renwan district. Her family should be the employees of the Yenching electric carbon plant. They definitely don't have much ability. That community is where the poor live. The middle-level leaders of the electric carbon plant don't live there. There should be no problem. Xia Zhangshui already knew this information from the secretary before he called. That's easy to handle. If there is someone in the other party's family, it will be difficult to handle. Don't think that the electric carbon plant is very poor. The factory director and director are all local rich people. They have a wide range of connections. Said Mr. Li, don't worry. She lives on the 7th floor. How can she be a big shot? It's the top floor. Which factory director can live on the top floor? Xia Zhangshui said quickly. This is true. Okay, I will ask for you. If I can help, I will definitely help. Said Mr. Li, then I will trouble you, brother Li. I will visit you another day, said Xia Zhangshui. No problem. You wait for my news. Mr. Li hung up the phone after he finished speaking. Xia Zhangshui breathed a sigh of relief. Since Mr. Li promised, it means that there is a way. Yang Ming rushed to the Songjiang First People's Hospital and called Bao Sanli. Bao Sanli came down to pick up Yang Ming. They walked in the direction of the emergency room together. How is the situation? Looking at Bao Sanli's silent appearance, Yang Ming asked with some concern. Still in the operation. I don't know the situation. Bao Sanli shook his head, but he was very puzzled. Yang Ming was very busy every day. If Shen Yushi really had nothing to do with him, why would he come to the hospital personally? Shen Yushi's identity was just an employee of the Nightless Club. There were so many employees in the Nightless Club, the security company, the Heavenly World, and the newly established real estate company. If everyone was hospitalized, wouldn't Yang Ming be busy? Therefore, this reason was difficult to stand firm. However, since Yang Ming denied the relationship between the two, Bao Sanli did not dare to ask more. Who knew if the two really had nothing to do with each other, or if Yang Ming deliberately concealed it for some other reason? Anyway, since Yang Ming was here, whether Shen Yushi was Yang Ming's woman or not, Bao Sanli must do his best. He could not make any mistakes. Where is Xia Shui? Asked Yang Ming. She left first. After all, the operation will take a long time. Captain Xia still has other things to do. 2 police officers were left here to stay. If there is any news, just inform Captain Xia at any time, explained Bao Sanli. What did the doctor say? Asked Yang Ming as he looked at the emergency room that still had the operation in progress sign on. The doctor only said that Miss Shen was seriously injured, but fortunately, her head was not injured. This is relatively lucky. Her head hit the ground from the back, so she was only in a coma. However, the brain tissue and cranial cavity were not damaged, said Bao Sanli. But, the doctor said that according to the current situation, Miss Shen may be paralyzed. Yang Ming nodded silently. After all, in this situation, it was better to save her life first. Other plans could be made later. Have you informed Shen Yushi's family? Asked Yang Ming with a sigh. Not yet. Bao Sanli shook his head. Make a call. You have to inform them sooner or later. Yang Ming said, make the call now. Okay, Brother Yang, I will ask someone to check Miss Shen's family information. Bao Sanli nodded and said. Right, the Nightless Club will pay for the medical expenses. Is that okay? Yang Ming thought about it and asked. Of course, no problem. Bao Sanli shook his head quickly. He thought, the Nightless Club belongs to you, Brother Yang. You can do whatever you want. Besides, it was Bao Sanli who paid for the medical expenses. At that time, Bao Sanli thought that Shen Yushi was Yang Ming's woman. How could he not be anxious? When the hospital said to pay, Bao Sanli directly swiped his card without saying anything. Yang Ming sat on the hospital bench and looked into the operating room with his X-ray vision. He saw that several doctors were still nervously performing the operation on Shen Yushi. Shen Yushi's face was pale, and her eyes were closed. She did not have the youthful health that he saw that day. Fortunately, there was no danger to her life. Otherwise, Yang Ming's heart would feel very sad. Chapter 1095. After finding Shen Yushi's home phone number, Bao Sanli personally called her home and briefly explained what had happened. Although it was simple, it was enough to make Shen Yushi's parents worry. Not long after, a middle-aged couple rushed to the hospital. They looked nervous but didn't dare to make a ruckus. It was obvious that they were very honest people. Even if something happened to their daughter, they didn't dare to make a ruckus. Excuse me. The middle-aged woman found the emergency room on the second floor according to the location Bao Sanli said. She said carefully, "Who is President Bao? Auntie, are you Shen Yushi's mother?" Looking at the middle-aged woman's trembling appearance, Yang Ming felt a pain in his heart. He quickly walked forward and held the middle-aged woman's hand. Shen Yushi is being resuscitated inside. Her life should not be in danger. How could this be? How could this be? The middle-aged woman saw that she had found the right place and immediately looked at the emergency room. Seeing that the emergency room light was still on and that the operation was still in progress, she could not help but sigh. I said at the beginning, there are too many bad people in the nightclub. Yushi should not go there, but you were not willing. Look at it now. The middle-aged man looked at the middle-aged woman and could not help but complain. Something has happened, and you still blame me. The middle-aged woman was also very self-reproachful. If it weren't for your incompetence and being laid off, would your daughter drop out of school to be a greeter? The middle-aged woman's words made the man speechless. He lowered his head silently and took out a pack of cheap cigarettes from his pocket, but he was stopped by the nurse on the side. Sir, this is the hospital. Smoking is not allowed. Oh. I'm sorry. The man hurriedly put away the cigarettes and kept apologizing. I didn't know. I'm really sorry. Seeing the middle-aged man like this, the nurse was a little embarrassed. She smiled slightly and said, you can go to the special smoking area, but smoking is absolutely not allowed near the operating room. I won't smoke. The middle-aged man said hurriedly, my daughter is inside. The nurse nodded and did not say anything. She turned around and went to do her own thing. Seeing this scene, Yang Ming sighed slightly in his heart. If he didn't know about this, how would this honest couple deal with it? If this wasn't an accident and someone was manipulating it behind the scenes, and the culprit behind the scenes had a powerful identity, perhaps they would have used money to settle this honest couple. After all, no one would want to cause trouble for such honest people. Just a little bit of intimidation would be enough to achieve the goal. And because of this matter, the originally happy family was torn apart, and they were in so much pain that they wished they were dead. The old couple had lost their daughter. What was the use of money? What the hell is going on? Who harmed my Yushi? After the middle-aged woman and middle-aged man finished complaining to each other, they began to look for someone to ask for the truth. However, from her somewhat bitter eyes, Yang Ming saw despair. Perhaps, in the eyes of the old couple, this matter itself couldn't be separated from the Nightless Club. However, the Nightless Club had a strong background. The old couple must have heard from their daughter about the identity of this President Bao. So, although they were eager to know the truth, they didn't dare to offend this big shot in front of them. Bao Sanli sighed and said, Auntie, Uncle, I am the general manager of the Nightless Club, Bao Sanli. You can rest assured. No matter who is involved in this matter, we will not let them go. Yushi is an employee of our Nightless Club. We have to be responsible for her. The old couple looked at Bao Sanli's sincere look and sighed slightly. How could they believe Bao Sanli's words? Don't those big bosses talk like this after something happens? And then, they just let it go in the end? The old couple now didn't ask to bring any bad guys to justice. Their only thought was to let Shinyushi recover so that she would never go to a place like the Nightless Club again. Seeing the confusion in the old couple's eyes, Yang Ming stepped forward and said, "Two elders, you can rest assured. President Bao is right. No matter who is involved, we will not let them go. If the law can't punish them, I will help you kill them." The two policemen who stayed in the hospital were Xia Shui's confidants. After the jewelry robbery case, they also faintly knew Yang Ming's other identity. So, in their opinion, Yang Ming had the capital to say this. After all, Yang Ming's identity was there. If the Supernatural Investigation Bureau wanted to intervene in the investigation, they didn't need to inform anyone. "Young man, you are?" Shinyushi's mother looked at Yang Ming and then looked at Bao Sanli. She felt that the two people didn't seem to be on the same side. Yang Ming was so young, and he didn't look like a leader, so she asked curiously. "I am a friend of Shinyushi." Yang Ming hesitated and said. Now, if he said that he was Shinyushi's big boss, they would definitely not trust him. It was better to say that he was Shinyushi's friend. Yushi's friend? Shinyushi's mother looked at Yang Ming up and down. She faintly guessed something. After all, Shinyushi was in her youth. If a friend of the opposite sex who was about the same age as her suddenly appeared, it was inevitable that there would be other aspects of the association. "Yes. I also work at the Nightless Club. I am Yushi's friend," Yang Ming said with a smile. He wasn't lying. The Nightless Club was originally Yang Ming's. It was normal for Yang Ming to say that he worked at the Nightless Club. "Young man, then don't be impulsive." Shinyushi's mother listened to Yang Ming and was even less suspicious. She quickly advised, "You can't do anything irrational because of Yushi's matter. Wouldn't that ruin your future?" "Don't worry, Auntie. I know what I'm doing," said Yang Ming. "Then you tell me. What happened to Yushi? Is it serious?" Shinyushi's mother had a good impression of Yang Ming. She had been here for so long, but she didn't know what happened to her daughter. Now that she saw that Yang Ming seemed to be a person who could tell the truth, she asked. "Yushi went back after work. When she went upstairs in your house, I don't know who she had an argument with, and then she suddenly fell off the building." Yang Ming sighed and said, "Because Yushi is still in surgery, I can't know other things. Everything can only be decided after the surgery is over." "Ah!" Shinyushi's mother exclaimed after listening to Yang Ming's words, "Fell off the building. So serious." Previously, Bao Sanli only said that Shinyushi had an accident and was injured. He didn't say it in detail. Shinyushi's parents thought that Shinyushi was beaten up or most likely raped by a guest, but her life wouldn't be in danger. However, they didn't expect that she would fall off the building. That was a life-threatening situation. Shinyushi's parents suddenly showed horror on their faces. How could this happen? Who wants to murder Yushi? I don't know about this. We can only wait for the police to investigate, said Yang Ming helplessly. Shinyushi's parents were silent when they heard that they needed to investigate. Although they were honest, they weren't stupid. Since the other party dared to do this, it showed that the other party's background was very strong, and they were fearless. It wasn't that they hadn't encountered such a thing before. Before they were laid off, the son of a deputy director of the Yenching electrocarbon factory played with a young female worker in the factory. As a result, the female worker lost a lot of blood, and she couldn't even have children in the future. In the end, didn't they compromise under the threat and temptation of the deputy director? After taking 200,000 yuan from the deputy director, the matter was left unsettled. They heard that she later became the mistress of the deputy director's son. In their eyes, the deputy director was already a big shot. They didn't even dare to think about someone like Bao Sanli who could call the wind and summon the rain. However, the people who Shin Yushi usually contacted were all people who came to the nightless club to have fun. Such people were either big bosses or powerful people. How could they provoke them? Xia Shui's efficiency was very fast. Now, Yang Ming also understood Xia Shui's background. No wonder this girl was so strong and didn't care about anyone. It turned out that she had Xia Bingbao's protection. As for the power of the Xia family above Xia Bingbao, Yang Ming didn't know. Soon, Xia Shui learned from the Nightless Club staff and the lobby manager, Manager Zhang, that Shin Yushi had a conflict with a person named Young Master Xia today. As for Young Master Xia's full name, Manager Zhang and the staff weren't very clear. They always called this person Young Master Xia. However, even so, there was an important breakthrough. This Young Master Xia became the key suspect of the police. However, when Xia Shui was about to report to Chen Fei, something unexpected happened. Songjiang City's famous lawyer, Mr. Li Meiyao, brought 3 young people to the police station to report the situation. Li Meiyao was a very powerful lawyer in Songjiang. He worked in the judicial industry in his early years. Later, he resigned and opened a law firm. He was the legal consultant for several famous companies. It was said that the cases he handled could even turn a dead horse into a living one. Therefore, Li Meiyao was favored by some bosses involved in illegal businesses. At first, Bao Sanli wanted to invite this person to be the company's legal consultant, but it was rejected by Ho Jinhan. Because the companies under Ming Yang were already transforming and developing into a formal industry, there was no need to hire such a lawyer. Instead, they would be criticized by others. Li Meiyao's notoriety had spread far and wide in the police station. Because he worked in the judicial industry in his early years, he was very familiar with the process of handling cases. Everything he did was a walk in the park. Previously, the drunken sex in the private room had also turned into a relationship between Xia Wenjin and Shin Yushi. Recently, because Shin Yushi had hooked up with a rich man, she planned to break up with Xia Wenjin. Xia Wenjin was unwilling, so the two quarreled. As for the tugging of her pants, because the two of them were in a relationship, they did not propose to officially break up. So, Xia Wenjin wanted to have sex with Shin Yushi in an emotional state, but Shin Yushi did not agree. In the end, Xia Wenjin was angry and wanted to tell her parents about Shin Yushi's scandal. Shin Yushi was so emotional that she threatened to kill herself, but Xia Wenjin did not give in. So, Shin Yushi really jumped, although there were still some loopholes in the middle. Under Mr. Li's embellishment, it had become a reasonable situation. In this way, whether Shin Yushi was a virgin or not, Xia Wenjin would not take any responsibility. It had to be said that Li Meiyao considered things more thoroughly than Xia Wenjin and others. He did not let go of any details that could go wrong. Because Shin Yushi had not woken up yet, and what Mr. Li said was reasonable, the 3 parties were in agreement. Oh, right, in Mr. Li's arrangement, Lu Zhaojun and Qi Zhida were no longer the parties. The 2 of them appeared as witnesses because the conflict was limited to Xia Wenjin and Shin Yushi. They were all bystanders. Although Xia Shui was very skeptical about the authenticity of what Li Meiyao said, there was no way to do anything in this case. Everything could only wait and see. When Xia Shui told this result to the 2 police officers in the hospital, the police officers told Shin Yushi's parents about the incident. Shin Yushi's parents sighed as if they had expected this result. Shin Yushi hooked up with a rich man? Why didn't we know? Besides, isn't Yushi's boyfriend Yang Ming? Through the conversation, they already knew Yang Ming's name and misunderstood that Yang Ming was Shin Yushi's boyfriend. After all, if Yang Ming had nothing to do with Shin Yushi, it was impossible for him to rush around and comfort them. If he was just an ordinary friend, he could not avoid this matter. How could he come forward? Also, Yang Ming's words that he wanted to kill the behind-the-scenes murderer made Shin Yushi's parents even more convinced. Otherwise, what did it have to do with Yang Ming? Why was Yang Ming so angry that he wanted to kill the bad guy? What they didn't know was that it was very easy for Yang Ming to kill the behind-the-scenes murderer. The two police officers also smiled bitterly. They did not expect this result, but with the intervention of the famous lawyer, Li Meiyao, this result was not unusual. Now, let's go back to the police station together. The person involved, Xia Wenjin, is also there. If there are any problems, we can talk about it face to face, said the police officer to Shin Yushi's parents. Shin Yushi's parents were more concerned about Shin Yushi's condition than the murderer. After all, the other party had completely shirked the responsibility. Even if they went, what could they do? Let's go and take a look, Yang Ming stood up and said faintly. In Yang Ming's eyes, lawyer Li Meiyao was bullshit. As long as he was unhappy, he would directly kick him in the head. Yang Ming naturally knew about the illegal dealings between some illegal lawyers and criminal suspects, so he naturally had to go personally to see who this Xia Wenjin was. Then, old man, let's go and take a look. With Yang Ming here, it will be easier to confront. Shin Yushi's mother was more flexible than her father. She wanted to see if there was any possibility of turning the situation around. However, in the parking lot in front of the hospital, Shin Yushi's parents were really surprised. They thought that Yang Ming was also a worker like Shin Yushi, but they did not expect that Yang Ming would have his own car. Although they did not know the brand of the car did not look like a cheap car. Yang Ming, this car is. After getting in the car, Shin Yushi's mother couldn't help but ask. It's mine. Yang Ming did not deny it and said, actually, but it's nothing. I belong to the company's top management like Shin Yushi. It's just that Shin Yushi has just been promoted to foreman and doesn't have much money. Yang Ming's explanation was not wrong. He was originally a company's top management. The foreman of the Nightless Club had a monthly salary of more than 30,000 yuan. It was not uncommon to buy a BMW in a few years, and there was also a year-end bonus. It was just that Shin Yushi had just been promoted to foreman for less than a month, so she had not received her salary yet. After listening to Yang Ming's explanation, Shin Yushi's mother also remembered that Shin Yushi seemed to have said on the day she was promoted to foreman that the monthly salary could be more than 10,000 yuan. At first, she thought that Shin Yushi was just saying it, but she did not expect it to be true. Yang Ming drove the car and followed behind the police car in front, heading in the direction of the police station. That Xia Wenjin is. Do you know him? In the car, Shin Yushi's mother asked carefully. I don't know him. I haven't heard of him. Who knows where this birdman came from? But, auntie, don't worry. If this matter is really related to him, I will never let him go. Yang Ming said firmly. Although Shin Yushi had no specific relationship with him, Yang Ming had encountered this matter. If Yang Ming did not care, he would feel uneasy. Indeed, there were many unfair things in this world. Yang Ming could not manage it even if he wanted to. However, Yang Ming did not know about those things, so out of sight, out of mind. If Yang Ming knew about it, then he could not ignore it. It's all Yushi's fault. I said, why does she always dress up? Now, there is a disaster. Connecting the incident before and after, Shin Yushi's mother naturally understood that it must be because of Shin Yushi's beauty that caused the trouble. Hee, auntie. Yang Ming smiled and said, which girl doesn't love beauty? This age is the age to dress up. It can't be her fault. If Chen Mengyan or Zhou Jiejia dressed up, or if Sun Jia dressed more sexily, no one would dare to provoke them, right? If a beautiful girl did not have a strong backer, it was indeed a headache. After all, there were too many people who coveted beauty and took risks. Yang Ming didn't know what the background of this Xia Wenjin was, but since Yang Ming met him, Yang Ming had to teach him a lesson even if he didn't die. Of course, this referred to the situation where it really had nothing to do with him. If what he said was a lie, then Yang Ming would make him feel very comfortable. In an office in the police station, Yang Ming saw the legendary Xia Wenjin and couldn't help but be stunned. It is actually him? Yang Ming was also very familiar with the two people beside him. One was Qi Jida, who was with Xia Wenjin, and the other was the vice president of the school's taekwondo club, Lu Zhaojun. When Yang Ming saw these three people, his heart was disgusted. These people were not good people. Yang Ming had no doubt in his heart. If there was no problem in this matter, Yang Ming would not believe it. Chapter 1096. The Yinxing electrocarbon factory was just a private enterprise. Shin Yushi's mother was a temporary cleaner here, and Shin Yushi's father was directly laid off in the layoff storm. Xia Wenjin's lawyer, Li Meiyao, had investigated these things in advance, so he was basically fearless. Never mind that Shin Yushi's parents were such low-level people, even the small leaders of the factory were not a problem. After knowing that the Shin family did not have a strong background, Li Meiyao dared to help Xia Wenjin mess around. Otherwise, Li Meiyao was not stupid. Although he could get a large commission by doing this kind of thing, if he did not handle it well, even he would be implicated. After all, Li Meiyao would not be allowed to participate in the battle between the real powerful people of Songjiang. Li Meiyao also knew himself, so he did not dare to participate. When he came to the police station and learned that Shin Yushi was the foreman of the Nightless Club, he suddenly frowned. He looked at Xia Wenjin with some anger. Wasn't she just a greeter? How did she become the foreman? Although the foreman was not a big figure in Li Meiyao's eyes, it also depended on where the foreman was from. Was the Nightless Club's foreman so easy to provoke? In this matter, if the Nightless Club's higher-ups wanted to intervene, then Li Meiyao would not be able to bear the consequences. Li Meiyao usually dealt with those ruthless bosses. He knew the means of these people. Now, he had to face Bao Sanli, who was even more ruthless than these people. If people wanted to mess with you, they did not need to reason with you at all. A reason of not being pleasing to the eye was enough. They could directly find someone to beat you until you were paralyzed. Therefore, after Li Meiyao heard about Shin Yushi's identity, he was also a little scared. While waiting for Shin Yushi's parents to come, Li Meiyao didn't have much confidence in his heart. He didn't know if Bao Sanli would follow. However, when he saw a young man walking in with a middle-aged couple, he was relieved. He naturally knew Bao Sanli, but he didn't know the young man in front of him. Xia Shui didn't expect Yang Ming to come. After seeing Yang Ming, she nodded to Yang Ming as a greeting. Then, she pointed to Li Meiyao and Xia Wenjin and said, "This is Xia Wenjin and his lawyer, Mr. Li Meiyao. Kid, your name is Xia Wenjin?" Yang Ming waved his hand. Without waiting for Xia Shui to finish speaking, he walked in front of Xia Wenjin, reached out and lifted him up from his seat, and said with a sneer, What are you going to do?" Xia Wenjin was shocked. He didn't expect to meet Yang Ming here. The scene of Yang Ming kicking the car door was still vivid in his mind. He was afraid of this kind of violence from the bottom of his heart. Xia Shui knew Yang Ming's style. She wanted to stop it, but she was helpless when she thought of Yang Ming's special identity. She complained about her elder brother in her heart. This Yang Ming was violent in his way of doing things. He used violence to curb violence. Her elder brother gave him a legal identity, which made him do things more righteously. She didn't know if it was right or wrong. Xia Shui still remembered the scene of Yang Ming beating and bullying the old man selling roasted sweet potatoes in front of her. It seemed that Yang Ming's style was like this. However, Xia Shui did not believe in Li Meiyao and Xia Wenjin's words from a subjective point of view. However, as the deputy captain of the criminal investigation team, she could not rely on her own subjective judgment for everything. She had to focus on objective facts. Everything had to wait until Shin Yushi woke up before making a conclusion. Therefore, at this moment, she could not do anything to Xia Wenjin in front of his lawyer. However, she didn't need to do anything. Yang Ming had already done it for her. "You let go. I am Mr. Xia's lawyer. If you don't let go, I reserve the right to pursue your legal responsibility." When Li Meiyao saw that Yang Ming actually made a move without saying anything, he was immediately shocked and reached out to stop him. "You get the fuck out of here. Otherwise, I will deal with you too." Yang Ming glared and pushed Li Meiyao casually. Li Meiyao staggered and fell to the side. You. Captain Xia, what do you think? Li Meiyao spoke halfway before he realized that Xia Shui had already left the office and closed the door. Only Yang Ming and Shen Yushi's parents were left in the room. When Yang Ming saw that he was still lying on the ground, he stepped on his mouth and broke half of Li Meiyao's front tooth. Li Meiyao's mouth was suddenly full of blood. He spat out half of his front tooth and screamed. Li Meiyao didn't expect Yang Ming to be so violent. He didn't even say a word before he started fighting. He was simply a violent maniac. Li Meiyao had also seen some ruthless people, but these people would say something before they started. There were only two possibilities to start a fight. One was that the other party didn't put you in their eyes at all. They disdained to say anything to you and beat you up first. The other was a reckless person who was not afraid of anything. The second was easy to deal with, but the first was the scariest. However, seeing Yang Ming's fearless look, he was afraid that it was the first kind. Moreover, when Yang Ming came in, the small details of Xia Shui nodding to him also fell into Li Meiyao's eyes. That meant that Yang Ming and Xia Shui knew each other. Thinking of this, Li Meiyao's heart suddenly went thump and thought that it was not good. You said that you are Shen Yushi's boyfriend? Yang Ming grabbed Xia Wenjin's neck with one hand, pushed him against the wall, and asked fiercely. I. Xia Wenjin didn't know how Yang Ming was involved in this matter, but his fear of Yang Ming was real. Cousin, save me, Lu Zhaojun was also full of cold sweat. Seeing Li Meiyao's miserable appearance, he was also scared. It seemed that Yang Ming had already been very merciful in the ring before. Otherwise, Li Jiasheng and Ren Jianren would not be much stronger than Li Meiyao. Lu Zhaojun didn't dare to be rash. He lowered his head and pretended not to hear. So you are this kid's cousin? Yang Ming turned his head and looked at Lu Zhaojun jokingly. Lu Zhaojun's head lowered even lower, fearing that Yang Ming would turn the attack target to him. You dare to say that you are Shen Yushi's boyfriend? How come I don't know? Yang Ming tried to make himself look rough and evil, but he also had a sense of propriety. Although he didn't care about anything with his current identity, it was best not to kill people in the police station casually. Then, Xia Bingbao would not be able to deal with the aftermath. Therefore, what Yang Ming wanted to do was to destroy Xia Wenjin mentally. I don't need to tell you about Shen Yushi and me. Xia Wenjin also thought that they were in the police station now. Yang Ming shouldn't dare to do anything to him, so he said stubbornly in fear. Really? If you are Shen Yushi's boyfriend, then what am I? Yang Ming smiled faintly. He grabbed Xia Wenjin's neck and put him in front of the window on the side. He opened the window and pushed Xia Wenjin's head out directly. Do you believe that I will throw you out? Xia Wenjin shuddered. He was suddenly scared. He secretly regretted it in his heart. This guy is actually Shen Yushi's boyfriend? Could it be that Shen Yushi's backer is him? It is very possible. This kid drives a BMW. His family must be very rich. If I knew that I would provoke him, I wouldn't have listened to Lu Zhaojun's words and done those things. Seeing Xia Wenjin's inner thoughts, Yang Ming smiled coldly. Sure enough, this guy did it. It seems that I really didn't wrong him. Yang Ming's previous series of rude behavior was to make Xia Wenjin feel psychological fear and nervous. In this way, Yang Ming could smoothly see Xia Wenjin's inner thoughts. Although Yang Ming suspected that Xia Wenjin did it, there was no evidence. Now, Yang Ming could be 100% sure that Xia Wenjin did it. Yang Ming pulled Xia Wenjin down from the windowsill and threw him on the ground. At this time, Xia Wenjin was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He sat on the ground as if he had collapsed. He gasped for breath. Yang Ming originally wanted to deal with Xia Wenjin in private, but he thought that this matter had already alarmed the police. It was more appropriate to leave it to the police to deal with. After all, if something happened to Xia Wenjin at this time, the first suspect would be himself. Yang Ming didn't want to cause any trouble for Xia Bingbao. Now, the two people were just in a cooperative relationship. Yang Ming didn't want to owe him too much and bind himself. Once he owed too many favors, then he wouldn't know how to repay them. When the matter calmed down, Xia Wenjin would be in prison. Wouldn't he be at Yang Ming's mercy? He can't be released from prison, right? Although this matter was bad, it was not enough to sentence him to death. After he was released, there were ways to deal with him. In other words, it would be better if he could be sentenced to death. He would not have to do it himself. Yang Ming walked out of the office under the inexplicable gazes of Li Meiyao and Shen Yushi's parents. They didn't expect Yang Ming to be all bark and no bite. He just threatened Xia Wenjin with a few words and left him aside. Could it be that Yang Ming was just bluffing? He didn't dare to act rashly in the police station. Was it just to vent his anger? Li Meiyao thought so in his heart and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. After Yang Ming went out, he found Xia Shui directly. How is it? Did you find anything? Xia Shui knew Yang Ming's identity. If Yang Ming helped solve the case, it would be twice the result with half the effort. Yes. Yang Ming said faintly, the whole thing was done by Xia Wenjin. With that said, Yang Ming told Xia Shui the whole story and how Li Meiyao instigated Xia Wenjin and others to tamper with the testimony. The more Xia Shui listened, the more she frowned, but her eyes were shining with excitement. If what Yang Ming said was true, then this was probably a good opportunity to get rid of Li Meiyao, the unscrupulous lawyer. Are these all true? Xia Shui asked after listening to Yang Ming's words. Yang Ming nodded and said affirmatively, it's true. You separate these 4 people and interrogate them separately. You use the fact that the other 3 people have confessed as Allure. Reveal what I said before to everyone. I don't believe that they won't tell the truth. In fact, this was also a common technique used in interrogations. It was often mentioned in TV dramas. The police made the criminal suspect mistakenly think that his accomplice had confessed, and let them put down their psychological defense and confess truthfully. If this trick was used well, it would get twice the result with half the effort. However, there was a condition before it was used. That was, the police had a lot of criminal facts. In today's situation, if there was no Yang Ming, it would be impossible to use this trick. However, Yang Ming had the ability to detect other people's thoughts. All these impossible things became possible. Xia Shui understood that Yang Ming had extraordinary abilities and means. Otherwise, he wouldn't have joined the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Moreover, Xia Shui also knew the rules. It was common for the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to assist in a case, but the process of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's case was extremely confidential. Although Xia Shui was curious, she wouldn't ask much. Okay, I will start the interrogation immediately. Xia Shui nodded and said excitedly. With Yang Ming's help and support, then everything was easy. Even if the bureau chief asked, there was also Yang Ming as a shield. With this information, if Xia Shui still couldn't ask anything, then there was a problem with her ability. However, Yang Ming wasn't worried about this. He still believed in Xia Shui. If Xia Shui really didn't have the ability, she wouldn't be sitting in her current position. In the criminal investigation team, it was difficult for an incompetent person to be the leader. Once this happened, then it would be difficult to carry out the work in the future. The bureau chief wouldn't let this happen. Under the leadership of Xia Shui, several police officers entered the office. Without saying anything, they controlled Xia Wenjin, Li Meiyao, Lu Zhaojun, and Qi Zhida and escorted them out of the office. Li Meiyao was shocked. What are you doing? I'm a lawyer. You have no right to do this to me. Xia Shui smiled slightly. You are a lawyer now. No one can guarantee that you won't be a lawyer later. With Yang Ming's intervention, Xia Shui wasn't afraid of anything. Anyway, if something happened, Yang Ming would take care of it. If Yang Ming couldn't handle it, there was still her elder brother. Of course, Xia Shui had nothing to fear. Seeing the 4 people being escorted out of the office, this scene made Shin Yushi's parents very surprised. Wasn't it just an accident? How come in the blink of an eye, these 4 people were taken away as if they were criminals? The police have obtained new evidence. Now we can roughly judge that Xia Wenjin is the murderer who hurt Yushi. Yang Ming explained to Shin Yushi's parents. Ah. Shin Yushi's parents were a little overwhelmed. However, they could also think that all of this should be due to Yang Ming. Otherwise, how could things suddenly take a turn for the better? Although they didn't know what Yang Ming did, Shin Yushi's parents were still very grateful to Yang Ming. Little Yang, thank you. Shin Yushi's mother said with some excitement. If it weren't for Yang Ming, how could things be solved so smoothly? I didn't do anything. This is the result of Captain Xia's efforts. Yang Ming smiled and waved his hand. He naturally wouldn't admit any credit. Then, let's thank Captain Xia. Shin Yushi's mother hesitated and asked. It's not too late to thank her after the case comes to light. Let's go back to the hospital first. The most important thing is that Shin Yushi wakes up, said Yang Ming. That's right, that's right. When Shin Yushi was mentioned, Shin Yushi's parents immediately showed a worried look. On this side, although the murderer of Shin Yushi had been brought to justice, Shin Yushi was not out of danger yet. In contrast, Shin Yushi being safe and sound was what the 2 elders wanted the most. After Yang Ming greeted Xia Shui, he rushed back to the Songjiang First People's Hospital with the 2 elders. Li Meiyao, Xia Wenjin has already confessed. Don't you want to say anything? You also know our policy. We will be lenient if you confess, but we will be strict if you resist. Xia Shui looked at Li Meiyao, who was sitting there leisurely, and was angry. What should I say? What should I confess? Li Meiyao said faintly with a fearless look. I am very clear about your methods of handling cases. You want to trick me into talking. Don't think that I don't know. If it were before, then Xia Shui would definitely be angry. This kind of person was the most difficult to deal with. He understood the procedures of handling cases. It was basically impossible to get some facts from him. The only thing that could make them admit their guilt honestly was absolute evidence. However, Xia Shui wasn't worried today. She trusted Yang Ming. She was 100% sure that she could make Li Meiyao admit his guilt today. Dang dang dang. There was a knock on the door outside the interrogation room. Xia Shui pretended to be calm and glanced at the door of the interrogation room. She said faintly, please come in. A police officer took a file and walked quickly to Xia Shui's side. Captain Xia, Xia Wenjin has confessed. The confession is here, please take a look. Of course, all of this was arranged. In the interrogation room of Xia Wenjin, Lu Zhaojun, and Qi Zhida, the same scene was playing out. It was just that Li Meiyao was not easy to deal with, so Xia Shui personally went. The others could be dealt with by ordinary police officers. Oh. So fast. Xia Shui nodded and took the file to read. Li Meiyao looked at Xia Shui and the police officer who came in with a smile. In his view, all of this was an act to create psychological pressure on him. Li Meiyao didn't believe that these police officers dared to extort a confession by torture. After all, he was also there. Xia Wenjin's father was also a big shot. Once the matter was exposed, Li Meiyao was confident that the police wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Therefore, he didn't believe that the police would get any valuable confessions. Li Meiyao, don't you want to say anything this time? Xia Shui held the file and looked at Li Meiyao. She asked. Just act. Continue acting. It's quite realistic. Li Meiyao stretched. My work is quite tiring. In my spare time, watching you act is also a kind of leisure. Really? Xia Shui smiled faintly and threw the file in her hand to Li Meiyao. What is this? Take a look at it yourself. What can it be? Li Meiyao casually took the file and flipped through it. However, after he read a few lines, his face suddenly changed. Chapter 1097. Li Meiyao felt that his hands were trembling, and his face became extremely ugly. This is impossible. How is this possible? This is not true. On the file, the matter of him instigating Xia Wenjin to import the confession was written word for word in the file. If Xia Wenjin or others hadn't confessed, it was impossible to know so much based on the police's guess. It wasn't the first time that Li Meiyao had committed fraud in a lawsuit, but it was the first time that he was seen through. He couldn't figure it out. How did Xia Wenjin escape so quickly? Didn't he know what was waiting for him after he told the truth? If this case of attempted rape causing disability was really judged, it would be at least 5 to 10 years in prison. He was a lawyer, so he was very clear in his heart. Moreover, this was still the case when the victim was not dead. If the victim was dead, then the sentence would not necessarily be decided. Originally, Li Meiyao didn't take this lawsuit seriously. Shin Yushi's family had no background. She was just a small character. At that time, he would ask Xia Wenjin's father to give her family a lot of money. He believed that it would be easy to settle. However, in this, Li Meiyao didn't expect the appearance of Yang Ming. Who is this person? What role does he play in the whole incident? Li Meiyao had been in the Songjiang legal circle for so many years, but he had never seen this person. However, it seemed that Yang Ming was very familiar with the police, even too familiar. Li Meiyao had a bad feeling. It seemed that Yang Ming was also a person on the police's side. When this thought came out, he suddenly frowned. There is no possibility or impossible. The situation has been written very clearly. You can see it yourself. Xia Shui pointed to the file of the case and said, "Are you illiterate?" Li Meiyao didn't speak. He looked at the file in front of him with cold sweat. The details of the case written in it even made Li Meiyao a little scared. Isn't this too detailed? Even the details of the conversation between him and Xia Wenjin were clearly written in it. After reading the entire case file, Li Meiyao knew that he was finished. As a lawyer, he participated in fraud. It was not a problem to be sentenced to 1 or 2 years in prison. Most importantly, his future as a lawyer was ruined. In the future, there would be no more opportunities to collect dirty money. However, since it had already come to this point, there was no other way. Anyway, he had received enough black money in the past. Even if he stopped being a lawyer, he would definitely not starve to death in the future. I have nothing to say. Li Meiyao said lightly. He didn't want to argue. He was a lawyer, and he knew this very well. In the face of absolute evidence, any debate was meaningless. Then you're sure that everything written here is true? Xia Shui asked happily. She didn't expect that the evidence Yang Ming gave her would be so shocking. After Li Meiyao saw it, he didn't even try to defend himself before admitting his guilt. I don't know what happened earlier. Li Meiyao naturally wanted to shirk the responsibility that he could. He said, I was the one who instigated Xia Wenjin and the others to say that. In other words, you haven't figured out the truth yet, but you helped the person tamper with the confession? Xia Shui asked. Li Meiyao nodded. He couldn't deny this point. There was nothing to refute. However, it wasn't enough to convict him of a serious crime just based on this. He signed the confession directly, and Xia Shui quickly ended the interrogation. Xia Shui was really shocked. She had been a police officer for so long, but she had never encountered such a smooth interrogation work. If Yang Ming participated in every interrogation, wouldn't her future work be successful? However, Xia Shui just thought about it. Yang Ming couldn't have so much time to help her. Even if he did, it was impossible for him to help. After all, she still had to rely on herself. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if she became dependent on him. On the other side, Xia Wenjin's interrogation was even smoother. After a little intimidation, he said that Qi Jida had already confessed, and the same transcript was shown to Xia Wenjin. Xia Wenjin collapsed. Originally, he didn't want to confess. He held the principle of holding on as long as he could, and he was in a stalemate. After all, if this matter was really put on the table, it would be a big deal. He also knew that it was impossible for him not to go to jail. Therefore, Xia Wenjin initially wanted to repeat what Li Meiyao told him. Who didn't know how to repeat the same words? Anyway, he didn't want to talk about the main point. But he didn't expect that Qi Jida and Lu Zhaojun actually confessed. Before Xia Wenjin saw the case record, he thought that the police were scaring him. But when he saw the case record, he was completely dumbfounded. Isn't what is written on it the truth? Not a single detail is missing. Xia Wenjin was so angry that he only wanted to curse. Motherfucker, I promised before that I wouldn't say anything even if I were to die. Now, it's great. I haven't been in the police station for half an hour, and I already said everything. If you say it, do you think you are fine? You are also an accomplice. Thinking of this, Xia Wenjin told Lu Zhaojun's dirty trick, and the whole plan was planned by Lu Zhaojun. When the police officer who recorded Xia Wenjin's statement heard what Xia Wenjin said, he suddenly became spirited. These things were not written in this file. If what Xia Wenjin said was true, then Lu Zhaojun was also an accomplice. Lu Zhaojun and Qi Jida were easier to interrogate. The two people's matter was not big. At most, they were just accomplices. Seeing that Xia Wenjin confessed, then they didn't need to insist. They directly said it. At this point, a somewhat complicated case with the participation of a lawyer was easily solved before the victim woke up. Of course, Yang Ming's contribution couldn't be ignored, but only Xia Shui knew it in her heart. Others admired Xia Shui's ability to calculate, but they didn't know that this was actually provided by Yang Ming. Xia Wenjin probably never dreamed that the reason why his matter was exposed was entirely because of himself. If his thoughts weren't probed by Yang Ming, the truth wouldn't be revealed so quickly. He was still complaining and scolding Qi Jida and Lu Zhaojun for not being loyal. It was ridiculous. Things were unusually smooth. After the case was solved, Xia Shui immediately notified Yang Ming. As for how the case would be judged and what kind of punishment Xia Wenjin and the others would receive, it was not up to Xia Shui to decide. This result was also expected by Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't believe that anyone's psychological quality would be so good. After he wrote down what he did, it would be a bit unbelievable if he still didn't admit it. Yang Ming hadn't met such a person yet. From a normal point of view, it was impossible to guess so accurately. Therefore, Li Meiyao didn't even suspect that there was a trick and pleaded guilty. Hanging up the phone, Yang Ming sighed. Even if Xia Wenjin and the others were punished by the law, so what? Can it be exchanged for Shen Yushi's health? Obviously, it was impossible. Xia Wenjin has confessed. He tried to rape Yushi but failed, causing Yushi to jump off the building. Yang Ming told the truth to Shen Yushi's parents, who were sitting in the back of the car. Although this result was a bit heavy, it was necessary to let Shen Yushi's parents know. After all, this result was already very gratifying for them. Sure enough, after Yang Ming said this, Shen Yushi's parents suddenly showed a surprised expression. They didn't expect the matter to be solved so quickly. The truth of the matter was actually similar to what they thought. A beautiful girl inexplicably jumped off a building, and there were traces of her pants being torn. What other reason could there be? Shen Yushi's parents were still very gratified that Xia Wenjin could be punished by the law. Originally, when they saw the hypocritical smile of lawyer Li Meiyao, they even thought that this case was hopeless. They didn't expect the tables to turn. In less than an hour, Xia Wenjin pleaded guilty. When they returned to the hospital, Shen Yushi had been pushed out of the operating room, but she was still in the intensive care unit. Although she was out of danger, she had not yet woken up. Although Shen Yushi's life was not in danger, they got very unfortunate news from the doctor. Shen Yushi's lumbar spine was seriously injured, and it may lead to paralysis of the lower body. When they heard the news, Shinyushi's parents' bodies obviously trembled, but Shinyushi's father was more optimistic. Forget it, old woman. It's good that our daughter's life is not in danger. If she is paralyzed, then let her be paralyzed. We will just take care of her. It's good that we don't have to go out to attract bees and butterflies and cause trouble. Shinyushi's mother nodded silently. Now, this was the only way. She didn't know what to do about Shinyushi's medical expenses. The subsequent medical expenses would definitely not be small. So, she asked timidly, "Little Yang, did police officer Xia say that Xia Wenjin can compensate Yushi with some money?" "There will definitely be civil compensation attached to this, but it won't be a lot. It's probably about 100,000. Yang Ming told Shinyushi's parents what Xia Shui said to him. "Then, when will the compensation be paid?" "Yushi needs money to stay in the hospital now," Shinyushi's mother said with some worry. "You mean this?" Yang Ming suddenly understood. Originally, Yang Ming was surprised that Shinyushi's mother was so concerned about the compensation. Her daughter was injured like this. What was the use of the compensation? However, now that the association mentioned the situation of Shinyushi's family, it was not surprising that Shinyushi's mother was worried. After all, Shinyushi's family was in a difficult situation. Shinyushi's subsequent medical expenses were definitely not low. It was not something they could afford. Thinking of this, Yang Ming quickly said, "You don't have to worry about the money. Shinyushi is a foreman in the Nightless Club. She is also a middle-level leader. The company will pay for her medical expenses." She has only been a foreman for a few days. She has not been promoted. Can the company care so much? Shinyushi's mother was stunned. Apparently, she did not expect that the Nightless Club would bear the medical expenses. Not to mention a nightclub-like company like the Nightless Club, even those multinational companies often did not care about the medical expenses of their employees. Moreover, Shinyushi had only been a foreman for a few days. She had not even signed a contract. Can the company care? Naturally, they can care. Yang Ming smiled and glanced at Bao Sanli next to him. Bao Sanli got Yang Ming's signal and quickly said, "This is the company's rule. We are a legitimate company. We keep our word. How can we not care? Auntie, uncle, you can rest assured. We will take the money that Shinyushi spent. Not a penny less." Shinyushi's mother felt that Shinyushi's medical expenses should not be paid by the Nightless Club. They were also reasonable people. This matter had nothing to do with the Nightless Club. The place where it happened was not the Nightless Club, so even if it was a lawsuit, the Nightless Club was not afraid. However, Bao Sanli took the initiative to bear the matter and bear all the subsequent medical expenses. Then, Xia Wenjin's compensation could be regarded as Shinyushi's nutrition fee. In this way, the two elders also had a lot of money, and they could get some supplements for Shinyushi. Before this, they also heard about Bao Sanli's background. They thought that Bao Sanli was a person who was difficult to contact, but now it seemed that this person was more loyal than those hypocritical bosses who seemed to be philanthropists. Then, "Thank you, President Bao." Shinyushi's mother said, "I will bow to you here, don't." Bao Sanli was shocked. Although Yang Ming denied his relationship with Shinyushi, Bao Sanli still felt that there was a problem with Yang Ming being so busy. Otherwise, what does this have to do with Yang Ming? Why is Yang Ming not so enthusiastic about other people's matters? He quickly stopped Shinyushi's mother from bowing to him. Bao Sanli said, "Auntie, don't do this. I can't afford it." Although Bao Sanli wanted to say that she was Brother Yang's mother-in-law, he didn't dare to say so. He had to shake his head helplessly. Bao. Yang Ming wanted to instruct Bao Sanli to go to the ATM and withdraw some money, but he suddenly remembered that Shinyushi's parents were still around, so he looked at a follower beside Bao Sanli and said, "You go and help me withdraw 50,000 yuan. The password is 123456. As Yang Ming said this, he handed a bank card to the follower. He didn't know the name of the follower, but he felt that he was familiar. However, the follower vaguely knew the identity of Yang Ming. Without waiting for Bao Sanli to speak, he hurriedly took Yang Ming's bank card and ran to the bank near the hospital to withdraw the money. Generally, there were several banks near larger hospitals for people to withdraw money. The business was very good. Shen Yushi's parents didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Yang Ming ordering Bao Sanli's follower to do things. After all, Yang Ming had said before that he was also a leader of the company. Soon, the follower came back and handed a paper bag with 50,000 yuan to Yang Ming. "Brother Yang, this is 50,000 yuan. Yang Ming took the paper bag and nodded to him. "Thank you for your hard work." The follower was suddenly excited. Originally, he was very happy to be able to do things for Yang Ming. Now that Yang Ming said that he had worked hard, he was naturally very happy. "Auntie, this is 50,000 yuan. Yang Ming handed the paper bag in his hand to Shen Yushi's mother. Although the company has paid for the medical expenses, other places also need money. Besides, Xia Wenjin's compensation won't be paid in a short time. You should take this money first." Originally, Shen Yushi's mother was very happy that the company would pay for the medical expenses. At this time, when she saw Yang Ming giving her money again, she quickly refused. "This can't be done. How can I take your money?" It was fine if the company paid for the medical expenses. At least this was reasonable. Shen Yushi's mother would not have too much psychological burden. However, the money Yang Ming took was his own money. How could Shen Yushi's mother accept it? "Yushi is my girlfriend. She has an accident. Naturally, I have to buy something for her." Yang Ming smiled and said, "It's just that I am busy with work, so I can only trouble you." Yang Ming sighed in his heart. This was also a white lie. Anyway, when he was at the police station, Shen Yushi's parents had heard him say it once. This. Indeed, when they were at the police station, Shen Yushi's parents also heard Yang Ming's words. They thought that Shen Yushi had an accident that might lead to paralysis. Even if Yang Ming was Shen Yushi's boyfriend, it was impossible for him to be the same as before. After all, who would find a paralyzed girl to be his girlfriend? Moreover, it could be seen that Yang Ming had a successful career at a young age. Such a boy, what kind of girl couldn't he find? Why would he want a disabled person? Therefore, when Yang Ming took out 50,000 yuan, Shen Yushi's mother was so surprised. What was even more surprising was that Yang Ming actually emphasized that Shen Yushi was his girlfriend. Bao Sanli secretly despised Yang Ming in his heart. "Damn, she is obviously your girlfriend, but you insist that she isn't. Now you finally admit it, right?" However, he only despised him in his heart. He didn't dare to say it, and he was very fortunate that he had been dealing with this matter very seriously. Outside the hospital, Yang Ming's mood was a little upset. Although the matter was handled satisfactorily, a girl in her prime might have to sit in a wheelchair for a lifetime. After knowing this result, Yang Ming was even more unwilling to let go of Xia Wenjin. No matter what Xia Wenjin's final judgment was, Yang Ming would not let him have an easy time. Fang Tian sent a message from Country X's General Kars, asking the Black Butterfly organization to prepare to carry out the assassination of his political enemy. As long as it was successful, all rewards were negotiable. General Kars really couldn't sit still. He also knew in his heart that he was in the stage of recuperation. Some of his political enemies were also waiting for the opportunity to make a move. General Kars lived in fear every day. In fact, he also knew that it was only a matter of time before he was ousted, but everyone had a fluke mentality. They would hold on for as long as they could. In his opinion, as long as he could pay a high enough reward, he could assassinate all his political enemies, so that he could sit firmly in the position of the president. However, there was no end to political enemies. After one political enemy was assassinated, another one would emerge. Even if he could assassinate them, in the end, all the available resources in Country X would be given out as rewards. What was the point of a president without an army? Chapter 1098. When Yang Ming received Fang Tian's call, he was lying on Wang Xiaoyan's bed and making out with her. These days, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jian were busy with the company's affairs, and Xiao Qing's experimental project was not over yet. She was very busy. Zhou Jiejia, the obedient assistant class monitor, naturally had to stay in the school's dormitory to set an example. Besides, the relationship between Yang Ming and her was limited to kissing and hugging. It would be awkward if they were out alone. Sun Jia was still in Donghai. According to her, something happened at home. On the night of Shin Yushi's accident, Sun Jia returned a call to Yang Ming. It was very late at that time, about 11:00 in the evening. However, Yang Ming was a little upset because of Shin Yushi's incident, so he didn't sleep. Xiao Qing's call came in. Yang Ming glanced at the caller ID and picked up the phone. "Hello, dear, why did you call me back so late?" Yang Ming asked with a tired voice. Sun Jia noticed that Yang Ming's mood didn't seem to be very good, so she didn't care much about his dear. Instead, she said, "Today, it snowed on the highway again. I was stuck for more than 3 hours. After returning home, I felt a little tired, so I slept. I didn't expect to wake up at 11:00. Your dad hasn't slept yet? He answered my call before." Yang Ming was a little surprised about Sun Hongjuan's resting time. Sun Jia woke up at 11:00. Did he not sleep until 11:00? Oh, you're talking about your previous call. My dad has already rested. Third uncle told me that he hasn't rested yet. Sun Jia said, "Why are you looking for me?" "The jewelry exhibition is over." Yang Ming said, "I wanted to report to you, but since you have gone back, let's talk about it when we meet." "Are you really going to report to me about the exhibition?" Sun Jia's tone was a little playful, as if she saw through Yang Ming's mind. Yang Ming suddenly blushed and said, "It can also improve our relationship as husband and wife." "But those are all subsidiary." After Sun Jia heard it, she smiled and said, "I don't think you are so honest. Is the jewelry exhibition going well? I read about the robbery in the newspaper, but there should be more to come, right?" You guessed it right. Just this morning, they launched the final blow. As Yang Ming spoke, he told the story of the black-shirt man sneaking into the exhibition center to steal the treasures. He talked about how he was careless and let people move the jewelry. However, Yang Ming did not say that he monitored all of this through his special ability. Instead, he vaguely said that he set up a spy. Fortunately, Sun Jia did not ask much about these small details. After listening to Yang Ming's words, she said sarcastically, "This is the consequence of being arrogant. Let's see if you are still arrogant in the future." I wanted to see if the black-clothed man contacted anyone after he succeeded, and see if there were any new clues. Who would have thought that they would be so meticulous? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. However, the ending of the matter is still considered satisfactory. Perfect? What do you mean? Sun Jia asked strangely. The things were lost, and you still talk about satisfactory. Oh, I know. You must have used the black-clothed man as a hostage in exchange for the other party's compromise, right? So, in this way, the other party will not pursue the responsibility of the jewelry loss, right? After listening to Sun Jia's words, Yang Ming sincerely admired, "You are indeed Sun Jia. You can even analyze this. But you only guessed the first half right. Oh. Do you have any better remedies?" Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming, and she was also interested and asked curiously. "I not only let them give up the responsibility of the jewelry loss, but I also let them send the jewelry back." Yang Ming smiled with some pride. "In the end, you achieved your purpose of taking advantage of others." It was no wonder that Yang Ming would be proud. Among all the women around Yang Ming, Sun Jia was undoubtedly the most cunning. Not to mention whether she was smarter than others, but in terms of these conspiracies, no one could defeat her. Including Yang Ming himself, he admitted that he wasn't Sun Jia's opponent. However, he finally saved his face in this game, and it also made Sun Jia have unexpected moments. Not bad. Sun Jia said after listening, "Tell me, how did you do it? I'd like to hear the details." Therefore, Yang Ming connected the flaws in the tone of the behind-the-scenes person and the suicide of the driver. He told Sun Jia about his speculations and practices at the time until the behind-the-scenes person was fooled and took the initiative to express the jewelry to his hands. "Yang Ming, I didn't expect you to be so capable." It could be heard that Sun Jia was really praising Yang Ming this time, and it wasn't the kind of hypocritical promise. "So, am I considered to have passed the test?" asked Yang Ming. "What test?" Sun Jia was stunned and immediately understood the meaning of Yang Ming's words. "This is only the first time. It can't prove anything. I have to continue to observe." Hee hee. Yang Ming smiled faintly and didn't care. It was impossible to make Sun Jia completely fall in love with him with just one thing. To conquer Sun Jia, he had to let her completely admire him and feel that he was stronger than her, and that she could rely on him. However, Yang Ming believed that this day wouldn't be too far away because he was constantly growing. Now, he was much stronger than when he was a fledgling a year ago. Now that he thought about it, he was like a silly boy a year ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't be easily fooled by Wang Jitao. "Right, aren't you in a graduate class? Why did you go back to Donghai?" asked Yang Ming. Xiao Qing went to research a topic these days, and the graduate class was suspended. Sun Jia said, "Moreover, there is a small matter in my family. I came back to deal with it. What's the matter?" "Do you need my help?" asked Yang Ming. "No need. If I can't handle it myself, I will ask you for help." Sun Jia smiled. However, listening to the tone, it was also a joke because Sun Jia didn't think that Yang Ming would help with something that she couldn't handle. Yang Ming sighed and didn't say anything. He thought to himself, "Sooner or later, you will worship me to death." "Okay, then when you return to Songjiang, let's meet and talk," said Yang Ming. Let's meet and talk. I just woke up and sweated a little. I feel a little uncomfortable. I'm going to take a shower, said Sun Jia. For a few days, Yang Ming hadn't contacted Sun Jia. He didn't know how she was handling the matter in Donghai, but he believed that with Sun Jia's ability, there should be nothing that could trouble her. Struggling to pick up the phone from the bedside table, little girl Wang's energy is really not ordinary. Yang Ming sighed. Being an assassin is different. Her physical strength and endurance are super strong. Fortunately, I am also a person in this field. Otherwise, I would be tortured to death by little girl Wang. This little girl is also very feminist. She always likes to play with men on top. Fortunately, my skills are better than hers. Otherwise, wouldn't I be bullied to death? Hey, old man, why are you looking for me? Is there news over there? Yang Ming already knew that Karsi in Africa's country X was going to let him do it. He came to Wang Xiaoyan's place. In addition to learning from Wang Xiaoyan on cooperation tacit understanding, he mainly studied this mission. Well, on the 15th of this month, you will leave for Africa. I will arrange your itinerary, said Fang Tian simply. Damn, my birthday is on the 14th, and we are leaving on the 15th? Aren't you too cruel? Yang Ming smiled bitterly after listening. Then, are you going or not? Fang Tian smiled. Go. Of course, I am going. Yang Ming said helplessly, are we going by water or by plane? Water. First, smuggle into Vietnam. I will arrange a plane there, and then fly directly to Africa's country X, said Fang Tian. There may be a change of planes in the middle of the way, but you don't have to worry about it. Okay, I understand. Yang Ming nodded after listening. Smuggling into Vietnam was a relatively easy thing. They could go directly from the Red River in Baishan. Of course, the Red River was the name of Vietnam. This side was called Yuanjiang. Yang Ming's phone call woke up Wang Xiaoyan, who had just fallen asleep. She opened her sleepy eyes. Wang Xiaoyan looked at Yang Ming and said, "Are we going out for the mission?" We will leave on the 15th. Are you okay with it?" Yang Ming nodded and asked. "Naturally, there is no problem." Wang Xiaoyan listened to Yang Ming's affirmative answer. She shook her head excitedly, and then sat up directly from the bed. "Finally, we can go out for the mission. We will smuggle into Vietnam first, and then my friend will arrange a plane there to fly directly to Africa," said Yang Ming. Speaking of this, Yang Ming had to admire Fang Tian's connections and relationships. He had already retired for so many years, but he could still arrange some things at any time. If it were Yang Ming, it was impossible to go to Africa through an irregular channel in a short period of time. However, there was always a process for everything. Fang Tian also said that after Yang Ming had enough experience, he would hand over all his connections to Yang Ming. Just the two of us? Wang Xiaoyan had never taken on such a big mission. Although she was excited, she was still a little nervous. Just the two of us. Yang Ming said, "How many more people do you want to go?" "It's just killing a person. Why do you need to make such a big scene? If it weren't for bringing you to see the world, I could have done it myself." "TSK, you are bringing me because you want to mess with me, right?" Wang Xiaoyan rolled her eyes at Yang Ming and said jokingly. Yang Ming suddenly broke into a sweat. Am I so unbearable in Wang Xiaoyan's eyes? March 14th was Yang Ming's birthday. Although there were still many things in the company that were not done, Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhang Bin, and Zhao Sisi naturally wanted to celebrate Yang Ming's birthday. Of course, Yang Ming also sent an electronic invitation to Sun Jie, Xiao Qing, and Zhao Ying. However, Sun Jie had not returned from Donghai. He could only call to apologize. Xiao Qing was even more busy. The experiment was at a critical stage. As the person in charge of Songjiang Industry University, she couldn't get away. Unexpectedly, Zhao Ying would reply to an email saying that she would be on time. This made Yang Ming very surprised. After all, when Yang Ming sent the email, he also sent an invitation to Zhao Ying with the intention of trying. His relationship with Zhao Ying was now so stiff. Yang Ming didn't think that Zhao Ying would come to his birthday party. However, in Yang Ming's view, the person who shouldn't have come came, and the person who should have come didn't come because of something. As for the identity of Xiao Qing and Sun Jie, it was easy for Yang Ming to explain. Chen Mengyan also knew them, so she wouldn't have any doubts. However, thinking about it carefully, weren't Sun Jie and Xiao Qing also trying to avoid possible embarrassment? Therefore, Yang Ming's birthday party was now only attended by 4 women who were related to Yang Ming: Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jiejie, and Zhao Ying. In terms of friends, there were Zhang Bin, Zhao Sisi, Tian Donghua, and Wang Shui. Wang Xiaoyan naturally couldn't participate. Yang Ming didn't dare to let her participate. This little girl Wang's character was too hot, and Chen Mengyan was a little vinegar jar. If the two of them didn't get along well and fought, then it would really be bad. If Wang Xiaoyan was angry, it was possible to kill Chen Mengyan. Then, it would really be over. Therefore, Yang Ming wouldn't let Wang Xiaoyan participate in the matters between his women in a short time. However, on the day before the birthday, Yang Ming and Wang Xiaoyan celebrated in advance. After all, with the contact with Wang Xiaoyan, Yang Ming liked this girl who had character and ideals more and more. Are you afraid that I will disturb your plans tomorrow? Celebrate my birthday with me in advance today? Wang Xiaoyan naturally guessed Yang Ming's intention. Hee, whatever you say. Yang Ming didn't deny it. After all, Wang Xiaoyan basically understood Yang Ming's private life, but she didn't want to interfere. Wang Xiaoyan wasn't sure if she could be with Yang Ming in the end. At first, she also held the attitude of being together with him one day at a time. However, now, she was somewhat reluctant to part with Yang Ming. Wang Xiaoyan didn't know if this was love. In short, Yang Ming was with her, and she would be very happy. When Yang Ming wasn't with her, she would feel that something was missing. Unknowingly, she had become accustomed to this feeling. Therefore, the more it was like this, the more Wang Xiaoyan was afraid that one day this feeling would disappear forever. After all, the world's #1 assassin group. This goal was too ambitious, and the difficulty of achieving it could be imagined. It wasn't that Wang Xiaoyan wasn't jealous. On the contrary, Yang Ming had other women, so she still cared very much. But now, whether she could be with Yang Ming was another matter. Wang Xiaoyan didn't have the mind to care about other things with Yang Ming. Now, all her thoughts were on how to make the assassin group stronger and bigger. Happy birthday. Wang Xiaoyan handed a small box to Yang Ming and said. Oh. Yang Ming was very surprised. Celebrating his birthday with Wang Xiaoyan in advance was just an impromptu decision. He had been staying with Wang Xiaoyan these days, so he celebrated in advance. He didn't expect Wang Xiaoyan to take it seriously and specially prepare a birthday gift for him. Thank you. Yang Ming took the small box and kissed Wang Xiaoyan's face. He asked, "What is it?" "Open it and you will know." Wang Xiaoyan smiled. Yang Ming opened the box and saw a small knife made of plexiglass. If he remembered correctly, Wang Xiaoyan seemed to have a similar one. Yang Ming had seen it before, so he asked, "You seem to have the same one, right?" I have the same one. I ordered it for myself when I left home." Wang Xiaoyan nodded. "I knew it was your birthday a few days ago, so I ordered the same one and sent it by international express delivery. I just received it. It's very practical. It can pass the security check, right?" Yang Ming weighed the knife, and it was quite handy. Looking at the material, he knew that it was not as simple as ordinary plexiglass. It should be made with a special process. It was first class in both hardness and feel. Smart. Wang Xiaoyan nodded. Only you can find its purpose. If you give it to others, they will think it is a handicraft. Wang Xiaoyan was obviously very happy to have a common language with Yang Ming. This thing is in our hands. Isn't it used to kill people?" Yang Ming smiled and said, "I like it very much. I will accept it." Both of them had common secrets and identities. Although it was a simple meal, they were very happy. Wang Xiaoyan opened a bottle of red wine, and both of them drank a lot. Obviously, Wang Xiaoyan did not have much alcohol tolerance. It could be seen that Wang Xiaoyan, as an assassin, had to keep a clear mind at all times. This was also what an assassin must maintain. Only Yang Ming did not care about this. However, under normal circumstances, it was difficult for Yang Ming to get drunk. Just like this half bottle of red wine, it was nothing for Yang Ming, but Wang Xiaoyan, who did not often come into contact with alcohol, was blushing and had begun to become confused. "It's so hot." Wang Xiaoyan took off her coat, leaving only the small vest inside. It was originally at home, so Wang Xiaoyan did not avoid anything in front of Yang Ming. She did not even wear a bra inside. Her exquisite figure was suddenly revealed, and it was particularly attractive. Among all the women in Yang Ming, Wang Xiaoyan was not the tallest, and her chest was not the biggest, but no one could compare to her figure. There was no fat on her body. Because of long-term training, her chest and buttocks were very round and strong. This kind of perfect curve was incomparable to other women. After all, even if they had a good figure, they could not be like Wang Xiaoyan. "What are you looking at me for? Do I look good?" Wang Xiaoyan was obviously drunk. Normally, she would never ask Yang Ming such questions as, "Do I look good? Do you like me?" These kinds of questions that only women would ask. You look good. Yang Ming nodded and said, Yen Yen, I found that I really fell in love with you. Wang Xiaoyan listened to Yang Ming's words, but there was no reaction. She still looked at Yang Ming with a blushing face. Just when Yang Ming was somewhat inexplicable, Wang Xiaoyan suddenly threw herself on Yang Ming and hugged Yang Ming tightly. Take me to bed. Do me hard. Kill me. I love you. Although the last 3 words were said very softly, Yang Ming still heard it. His heart trembled slightly. He did not know whether Wang Xiaoyan was drunk or heartfelt. Usually, Wang Xiaoyan would never mention such a topic. Chapter 1099. Yang Ming's heart moved slightly. He picked up Wang Xiaoyan and walked upstairs to the bedroom. For a long time, Wang Xiaoyan had shown a strong and overbearing side in front of Yang Ming. Perhaps, only at this moment was the real her. She was also a normal girl. She should be full of pursuit for love. It was just that he didn't know why she carried too many burdens from her family. Although Yang Ming had never asked, he could roughly guess that it was nothing more than a forced marriage. Before coming into contact with so many wealthy families, Yang Ming would think that those family reputation, family interests, and so on were nonsense in novels. However, after coming into contact with them, he knew how terrible it was. From the moment he came into contact with President Hua, Yang Ming also understood that some of the so-called wealthy families were not close to human feelings. Yang Ming didn't know why Wang Xiaoyan insisted on making her assassin organization the world's #1, but it should be some kind of agreement between her and her family. Therefore, whether it was for himself or for Wang Xiaoyan, Yang Ming would work hard to help Wang Xiaoyan achieve this dream. Moreover, Yang Ming had the ability to help her achieve her dream. With Fang Tian's connections, he didn't have to worry about not getting a mission. Therefore, Yang Ming believed that as long as he was hard-working, then Wang Xiaoyan's dream would be just around the corner. However, then again, even if this dream didn't come true, Yang Ming wouldn't let Wang Xiaoyan marry someone else. Yang Ming would never allow this kind of thing to happen. When he went upstairs and came to the bedroom, Wang Xiaoyan, who was still talking, had closed her eyes. There was a smile at the corner of her mouth as she fell asleep. Yang Ming shook his head helplessly. He gently put Wang Xiaoyan on the bed and carefully took off her small singlet and pants. Wang Xiaoyan had the habit of sleeping naked. Yang Ming was naturally very clear about it. If people who were used to sleeping naked slept with clothes on, they would be very uncomfortable the next day. Looking at Wang Xiaoyan's seductive body, Yang Ming suppressed the impulse in his heart. After all, although he slept with Wang Xiaoyan at the beginning because of the bet, and even because of some revenge purposes, Yang Ming had fallen in love with this girl. At this moment, he naturally couldn't bear to disturb her rest. After Yang Ming settled Wang Xiaoyan, he took off his clothes and lay next to Wang Xiaoyan. He turned off the lamp on the bedside table and closed his eyes. Although Yang Ming didn't use his special ability to explore the situation around him, Yang Ming could still be keenly aware of the small movements around him. Yang Ming suddenly opened his eyes, but found that Wang Xiaoyan was lying in front of him. A pair of big watery eyes were looking at him in a daze. "Weren't you asleep?" Yang Ming asked strangely. "Why didn't you do it with me?" Wang Xiaoyan didn't answer Yang Ming's question. Instead, she asked back with a face full of lust. Yang Ming broke into a sweat. "What are you playing at?" He smiled bitterly. "I saw that you were asleep and was afraid to wake you up. Well, since you are so willing to be done by me, then I will kill you." Yang Ming was annoyed by Wang Xiaoyan's words. He turned over and pressed Wang Xiaoyan under his body. "Then do it." Wang Xiaoyan was lying on the bed and said, "You can do whatever you want." In fact, Wang Xiaoyan hadn't slept. She was just drunk and confused. No matter what, she was also a person who had undergone strict training as an assassin. How could she fall asleep so easily? Just now, she couldn't control herself and said some strange words. It made Wang Xiaoyan a little shy, so she pretended to sleep for a while to eliminate the embarrassment in her heart. However, she didn't expect that after returning to the bedroom, Yang Ming really thought that she was asleep. After helping her take off her clothes, there was no other action. Wang Xiaoyan felt strange, but she was a little touched. It turned out that he also cared about her. In his eyes, she might not be just an assassin partner and a sexual partner, perhaps it was the alcohol, the atmosphere, or some other reason, but the two of them were quickly satisfied and fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, Wang Xiaoyan returned to the previous Wang Xiaoyan. The spring and seduction on her face no longer existed. Although she occasionally had intimacy with Yang Ming, it was not as obvious as yesterday. It was no different from the past. Yang Ming sighed slightly. He also knew that Wang Xiaoyan couldn't always open her heart completely like when she was drunk. After all, the pressure she carried was too heavy. A girl, instead of enjoying herself, wanted to form an assassin group. Perhaps it was inconceivable in the eyes of many people, but in the eyes of Wang Xiaoyan, it was imperative. Today was Yang Ming's birthday. On this day last year, Yang Ming's birthday was not so solemn. At that time, he was still in high school. He was caught by Chen Mengyan for skipping class in the morning. Thinking of this, Yang Ming's heart was slightly sweet. His thoughts seemed to return to this day a year ago. Yang Ming. Where are you going? That morning, Yang Ming came to the classroom and walked around casually. He threw his school bag on the seat and turned around to leave the classroom. But before he walked to the door of the classroom, he felt that the corner of his shirt was grabbed by someone, followed by a familiar voice. Yang Ming was helpless. I don't know what bad luck I have these days. Every time I skip class, Chen Mengyan catches me. Yang Ming even thought, is this little girl secretly in love with me? Otherwise, why would she pay so much attention to me? If she hadn't been watching me, how would she know that I was skipping class? How would she know that Yang Ming actually said this deliberately? Although Yang Ming's grades weren't good, and he was a bully in school, he had never looked down on his classmates. Even when his classmates were bullied by other classmates, Yang Ming even helped them. Therefore, Yang Ming had shortcomings, but most of the students still felt that Yang Ming was quite loyal. They couldn't say that they liked him, but at least they didn't hate him. However, a few special people were exceptions, such as Wang Jitao and Chen Afu. However, the well-behaved Chen Mengyan had never skipped class, and it was impossible for her to skip class to celebrate Yang Ming's birthday with him. Even if she wasn't afraid of other people's gossip, at least she wouldn't be able to get past the teacher. As a class monitor, if she skipped class, how could she still do that? Sure enough, you also despise me from the bottom of your heart. Yang Ming pretended to be very sad. As he spoke, he walked to the door. Chen Mengyan's character was very kind. When she saw Yang Ming so sad, her heart suddenly felt very uncomfortable. She quickly said, Yang Ming, I don't despise you, but I can't skip class, I know. Yang Ming waved his hand with a heartbroken look. How about next year when we are both admitted to university, I will definitely celebrate your birthday for you. Chen Mengyan was anxious and said quickly. That's fine, then see you next year. I'm leaving first. Yang Ming waved his hand to Chen Mengyan and walked out of the classroom quickly. Chen Mengyan sighed. She didn't expect Yang Ming to have so many worries. Usually, she saw that he was careless, but she really didn't notice it. Yeah, this isn't right. Chen Mengyan suddenly realized, this Yang Ming, didn't he skip class again? Thinking of this, Chen Mengyan suddenly became angry. She clenched her small fist and waved it. It turns out that I was cheated by him again. I still want to celebrate his birthday. What birthday? Wishful thinking, don't even think about it. However, Chen Mengyan thought about it again. If Yang Ming can really be admitted to university, then what's wrong with celebrating his birthday with him? I'm just afraid that he can't be admitted. After Yang Ming successfully skipped class, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, there was some expectation in his heart. Originally, he didn't have any illusions about Chen Mengyan. After all, the gap between him and Chen Mengyan was too big. But now, after Chen Mengyan said so, his heart began to become active again. If Chen Mengyan can celebrate my birthday with me, how wonderful would that be? However, this idea was only temporary and disappeared in a flash. After all, it was simply too difficult for me to be admitted to university. Zhang Bin was still waiting for me at the school gate. Thinking of this, Yang Ming put away those unrealistic thoughts and quickened his pace. He walked quickly to the school gate. Zhang Bin didn't often skip class. Although his grades weren't very good, he also stayed in the classroom every day, so it was easier for Zhang Bin to skip class. He and Yang Ming acted separately. He left the classroom first, but no one noticed him. Even if they noticed him, they would think that he was going to the toilet. Yang Ming was different. He was supervised by Chen Mengyan all day long. "Bro, why are you so slow?" When Zhang Bin saw Yang Ming come out, he quickly waved his hand and said, "I have been waiting here for more than 20 minutes. Those who don't know would think that I am a student standing guard at the school gate. Isn't it because of Chen Mengyan?" Yang Ming smiled bitterly. "I wanted to come out, but she caught me and stopped me. I spent a lot of effort to run out." "Huh, bro, if you ask me, Chen Mengyan is interested in you." Zhang Bin smiled after listening. "Why doesn't she care about others?" "I walked out of the classroom, but she didn't see it. However, when you skipped class, she could find it. This explains the problem." Yang Ming smiled bitterly and said, "What is interesting? Isn't it because I have skipped class too many times? Otherwise, how can I be targeted by her?" Yang Ming, of course, still had self-awareness. He wouldn't be stupid enough to think that Chen Mengyan would fall in love with him. "Anyway, this is special treatment for you." Zhang Bin smiled and said, "Let's go to the Ju Yuan Chun restaurant next to the school. I have booked a table. Let's celebrate." Ju Yuan Chun? No way, is it that extravagant? Yang Ming's original intention was for the two of them to just find a place to have a barbecue. "It's okay. I have money. You don't have to save for me." Zhang Bin waved his hand indifferently. "With our relationship, whoever has money should spend more." Zhang Bin was familiar with the owner of the Ju Yuan Chun restaurant. He was a friend of Zhang Bin's father, Zhang Jifang. Therefore, there were only two people, Zhang Bin and Yang Ming, and the owner also gave them a private room. "Bro, happy birthday to you." Zhang Bin raised his glass and said to Yang Ming, "Come, I will drink first." Yang Ming also raised his glass. This was the only good friend in his class. Maybe he would leave him in a few months. Yang Ming also knew that even if Zhang Bin couldn't get into university, Zhang Bin's father could spend money to get him into a good school. But Yang Ming couldn't do it. His father was a worker, and his mother was a temporary worker in the community. It was impossible to take out so much money to go to university on his own. "Bro, what's wrong with you? You seem to be unhappy." Zhang Bin also noticed that Yang Ming was a little depressed, so he asked quickly. "Nothing. I just thought that in a blink of an eye, the high school life is going to end. Time flies." Yang Ming sighed and said, "Bro, you are reluctant to part with Chen Mengyan, right?" Zhang Bin asked after listening, "Bro, why don't you confess to her? Anyway, whether it will work or not, you have tried it. You won't regret it in the future. If you really graduate, there is no way to regret it. Okay, don't talk nonsense." "What confess? Aren't you harming me?" Yang Ming shook his head and said, "You don't know Chen Mengyan's character. Moreover, I heard that Wang Jitao, that idiot, had already confessed before. Chen Mengyan told him that she didn't consider having a boyfriend in high school. She directly rejected him. That's because Chen Mengyan didn't like him. Zhang Bin waved his hand and said with an unfathomable look, "When it comes to women, you don't know as much as I do. I have been hooking up with girls on the internet since I was a freshman in high school. I know women's thoughts better than you. They say that they don't fall in love. That's just an excuse. That's because they haven't found the right one. Once they find it, all the words they said before are all empty words." Really? Yang Ming really didn't understand the thoughts of girls. Seeing that Zhang Bin said it like it was true, he was suddenly moved. "Of course it's true." Zhang Bin nodded and said, "You see, Chen Mengyan wants you to study hard every day. If you really want to chase her, then you should follow her wishes, study hard, and change for her. In this way, you will definitely have a chance." "Boss, I'm not flattering you. In terms of appearance and ability, you are much better than Wang Jitao. That guy is good at studying and has a rich family. He's not as good as you in any other aspect." Yang Ming was naturally not the kind of person who would be hot-headed when he was flattered. He shook his head and said with a smile, "Let's talk about it later. Even if I study hard, I can't study too well. Chen Mengyan is going to a famous university. If we can't be together in university in the future, it's useless." That's true." Zhang Bin also sighed helplessly and said, "Boss, but no matter what, even if we are not together in the future, you will always be my boss." "Hee hee." Yang Ming smiled and said, "I believe that." Beep beep. The sound of a car horn urging him to drive came from behind. Yang Ming collected his thoughts and glanced at the signal light. It had turned green. He shook his head and started the car. He didn't expect that today, 1 year later, Chen Mengyan really fulfilled her promise and came to celebrate his birthday. His brother also didn't go far away and was still by his side. Life's encounters were really wonderful. After a lot of twists and turns, he actually set foot on a path to success. He instantly walked to the top of the social pyramid, calling the wind and calling the rain. He was always successful. Chapter 1100. The place where Yang Ming celebrated his birthday did not choose the Heavenly Earth or the Nightless Club, but he chose Juyuanchun, the place where he celebrated his birthday a year ago. Although Yang Ming was no longer the same as before, he still missed the days a year ago. The tense and relaxed senior high school life, arguing with Chen Mengyan every day and having fun with Zhang Bin. When Yang Ming arrived at Juyuanchun, Zhang Bin was standing in the hotel lobby and talking to the boss here. Because he was a friend of Zhang Bin, he was naturally familiar with Zhang Jifang. Moreover, Zhang Bin often came here with Zhang Jifang. After going to university, he founded his own company and was injured, so he did not come here for a while. "Bro. You are here." Seeing Yang Ming walking into the hotel, Zhang Bin quickly greeted him. Just like a year ago, he waited for Yang Ming at the school gate. "I'm not late, right?" Yang Ming saw Zhang Bin and smiled at him. "I asked you to wait for me again this year. I booked the place. Of course, I have to come early. Sister-in-law hasn't come yet. She is in the company with Cici. She will come in a while." Zhang Bin said. "Why? Is there still business today?" Yang Ming was surprised. The jewelry exhibition had been over for a while, but he didn't expect the jewelry company's business to be so popular. "Well, February 14th is Valentine's Day, and March 14th is called White Valentine's Day." Zhang Bin said, "So, the store's business is also very popular today. Cici has to take care of it." "White Valentine's Day? What is that?" Yang Ming was inexplicable. He only knew about Valentine's Day, but he didn't know about White Valentine's Day. "I didn't know. It wasn't because of the promotion in the company. It was a promotion plan proposed by an employee. Only then did I know what White Valentine's Day was." Zhang Bin explained, "This White Valentine's Day is actually called returning etiquette." "Etiquette?" Yang Ming was suddenly interested. He didn't expect his birthday to be a holiday. This was the first time that Yang Ming had heard of it. In fact, Valentine's Day and White Valentine's Day first originated in Rome in the 3rd century. Zhang Bing began to apply what he had learned on the spot. This knowledge was obtained from the promotion plan of the employee in the company. On February 14th, the Roman emperor saved a pair of lovers who were about to be executed for violating the prohibition on marriage. The Roman emperor set up Valentine's Day to commemorate this day. A month later, on the 14th of March, the rescued lovers swore that they would love each other until they died. In order to commemorate this day, they set a new date as White Valentine's Day. And this festival spread from Europe to the rest of the world. What does this have to do with etiquette? Yang Ming was baffled. Bro, wait for me to finish. Zhang Bin continued with a bitter smile. According to legend, if a man and a woman receive a Valentine's Day gift from the opposite sex on February 14th to express their love, and they have the same good feelings or feelings for each other, they will give each other a Valentine's gift on March 14th. It means that they have a mutual understanding of each other. This is the origin of returning etiquette. It turned out to be like this. Damn, if I receive a bunch of birthday gifts in a while, how would that be counted? Would it count as White Valentine's Day or as a birthday gift? Yang Ming listened to Zhang Bin's words and asked with a smile. Ha, that's between you and the sisters-in-law. It has nothing to do with me. I just told you what I know. Zhang Bin said quickly. He didn't want to get involved in Yang Ming's family matters. After all, it wasn't a year ago. It was really fun to think about it. A year ago, he and his bro were still talking about Chen Mengyan. Now, Chen Mengyan had become his sister-in-law. So, Zhang Bin didn't dare to comment. Yang Ming and Zhang Bin were talking. Suddenly, the door of the restaurant was pushed open with a bang sound. 4 young men wearing black leather jackets with cigarettes in their mouths came in from the outside. Among them, a young man wearing sunglasses shouted without hesitation, "Who is the boss?" "I am." A middle-aged man next to Zhang Bin looked nervous and greeted with a smile, "Excuse me, what's the matter?" "You are the boss?" The sunglasses man spat out the cigarette in his mouth on the carpet and then kicked it with his foot. Suddenly, there was a burnt black mark on the red carpet. Zhu Yuanchun's boss also knew that these 4 people didn't look like good people. He knew that they were looking for trouble by listening to their tone, so he didn't dare to be angry. He said carefully, "I am, well, since you are the boss, then I won't say anything unnecessary." The sunglasses man snorted. "Do you know what I do?" "I don't know." "Excuse me, little brother is?" Zhu Yuanchun's boss asked quickly. "Brother my ass." "Who's your brother?" The sunglasses man grabbed the collar of Zhu Yuanchun's boss and pushed him hard. Then, he said, "I am from the Ming Yang Company." "Haven't you heard of it?" "Ming Yang Company. I have heard of it. I have heard of it." Zhu Yuanchun's boss nodded quickly. In this year, the Ming Yang Company was thriving. How could he not know? As a hotel owner, how could he not know the name of Ming Yang Brother Bao? It's good that you have heard of it. There is no need to say more about what we do. The sunglasses man snorted. My boss asked you to prepare 50,000 yuan as a protection fee. In the future, it will be this amount every month. Ah. Zhu Yuanchun's boss was stunned and shocked. 50,000 yuan, this is too much. My restaurant can only earn a few 50,000 yuan a month. I don't care how many 50,000 yuan you earn. Our boss asked you to give me 50,000 yuan. You have to give me 50,000 yuan. The sunglasses man obviously didn't want to waste more time with Zhu Yuanchun's boss. He waved his hand and said, "Excuse me, your boss is?" Zhu Yuanchun's boss saw that the sunglasses man didn't listen to him, so he had to ask. In fact, he also had some security guards and strong waiters in his restaurant. He could totally drive these 4 guys out, but he couldn't resist the reputation of the Ming-Yang company. Who dared to provoke them? Therefore, Zhu Yuanchun's boss was angry, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Motherfucker, my boss is Bao Sanli, brother Bao. Don't you know? The sunglasses man said with a glare. Yang Ming thought that they were just a few punks who had watched too many movies, but he didn't expect that these people could directly say the name of Bao Sanli. In fact, not many people knew the name of Bao Sanli. Everyone knew that he was called Brother Bao, but they didn't know that he was called Bao Sanli. The people who knew the name of Bao Sanli could be said to be very few. Except for the employees of Ming Yang's formal industrial companies, almost no one in the underworld knew. Therefore, when Yang Ming heard the sunglasses man mention the name of Bao Sanli, he suddenly frowned. He didn't know the identity of this person. When Zhu Yuanchun's boss heard the name of Bao Sanli, he was suddenly stunned, but he naturally knew Brother Bao. He quickly said, "It turns out to be Brother Bao. It's good that you know." "I thought you didn't know." "If you don't know, I have to beat you until you know." The sunglasses man snorted and said, "Tomorrow, prepare 50,000 yuan for me. I will come to pick it up personally. Otherwise, don't think about opening this restaurant." After that, the sunglasses man didn't care what the boss of Zhu Yuanchun thought. He waved his hand directly and took his 3 underlings out of the Zhu Yuanchun hotel. When the sunglasses man was talking, Yang Ming deliberately took out his mobile phone and pretended to send a text message. In fact, he used the mobile phone's camera function to take a picture of the appearance of these 4 people, and then send it to Bao Sanli through MMS. He also used a text message to ask Bao Sanli if he knew these people. Zhang Bin naturally knew Bao Sanli, and he vaguely knew the relationship between Bao Sanli and Yang Ming. However, seeing that Yang Ming didn't speak at the moment, Zhang Bin didn't dare to be nosy. He stood aside with Yang Ming and quietly watched the development of the matter. AI. After the 4 people left, the boss of Zhu Yuanchun sighed and said, "This business is really getting more and more difficult. I thought that after the underworld of Songjiang was unified, I didn't have to pay the black money like protection fees every month. I didn't expect that I would have to pay more. These people aren't imposters, right?" said Yang Ming suddenly. Imposters? How can they be imposters? The boss of Zhu Yuanchun shook his head and said, "Who dares to impersonate them? If Brother Bao knew, wouldn't he be beaten to death? I think this must be Brother Bao's idea." AI. Well, let's not talk about this. You are Zhang Bin's friend. Today is your birthday. Don't let these messy things ruin your mood. Although it wasn't a small amount to take out 50,000 yuan a month, the boss of Zhu Yuanchun could still afford it. The scale of his hotel wasn't small. He had at least 80 to 100,000 yuan a month. If he gave out 50,000 yuan, he could still have 30 to 50,000 yuan left. It was considered that he had left some leeway. Soon, Yang Ming's mobile phone received a text message from Bao Sanli. "Brother Yang, I don't know these 4 people. What's the situation?" Yang Ming looked at Bao Sanli's text message and frowned. Sure enough, they are imposters. However, aren't these 4 brats quite bold? They actually dare to use the Ming Yang company's Bao Sanli's name to swindle others. Yang Ming replied to Bao Sanli's text message and told him what had just happened. He ordered Bao Sanli to strictly investigate these people who swindle others in the name of Ming Yang. If this kind of behavior continued, then wouldn't the reputation of Ming Yang company be ruined by these people? Bao Sanli replied to the text message and said that he would send someone to strictly investigate this matter, but he also said that this was the first time he encountered this kind of thing. He had never heard of similar things happening before. Looking at Bao Sanli's text message, Yang Ming faintly felt that something was not quite right, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Yang Ming shook his head. Over there, Zhang Bin had already talked about other things with the boss of Zhu Yuanchun, leaving the unpleasantness behind. By listening to the conversation between Zhu Yuanchun's boss and Zhang Bin, Yang Ming learned that Zhu Yuanchun's boss had made a lot of money in recent years and was preparing to withdraw from the catering industry. He planned to go abroad to find his son who was studying abroad after withdrawing. However, Yang Ming could also guess that the withdrawal of Zhu Yuanchun's boss must have a lot to do with today's incident. Perhaps he had thought of retreating a long time ago, but today's matter made him even more determined to do so. As they were talking, Zhao Ying walked into the restaurant gracefully with a small gift box in her hand. When she saw Yang Ming and Zhang Bin, she smiled and nodded to them. Miss Zhao. Although Zhang Bin also faintly knew that there seemed to be some ambiguous relationship between Yang Ming and Zhao Ying, it was not so detailed, and they didn't have much contact usually. At this time, when he suddenly saw Zhao Ying appear here, he suddenly felt a little restrained. After all, Zhao Ying was his former teacher. He still couldn't adapt to this situation. Hee, Zhang Bin, you are also here. Zhao Ying said with a smile, you don't have to call me Miss Zhao. I am in the same school as you. Now we are schoolmates. You and Yang Ming can call me Sister Ying or Senior Sister. Yang Ming had some doubts. Is this Zhao Ying? A few days ago on QQ, Zhao Ying was still crying. Why is she so natural today? It seems like nothing happened. Sister Ying, that day. Yang Ming scratched his head and saw that Zhang Bin was still by the side. Some words couldn't be said. Zhang Bin also realized that he was a third wheel, so he quickly went to the side and continued to talk to the boss of Zhu Yuanchun. Yang Ming paused, and he couldn't say anything. What day? Zhao Ying smiled slightly and handed the gift in her hand to Yang Ming without any anger. This is for you. Happy birthday. Thank you. Since Zhao Ying was so normal, Yang Ming didn't say anything more. He took the gift from Zhao Ying's hand and said, is this a birthday gift or a return gift for Valentine's Day? What return gift for Valentine's Day? When did you give me a gift for Valentine's Day? When Zhao Ying said this, she suddenly realized that she had made a mistake. She blushed and said, don't talk nonsense. Do you want it or not? If you don't want it, I will take it back. Yes, of course, I want it. Yang Ming smiled and thought, it seems that Zhao Ying definitely knows about White Valentine's Day. Listening to the meaning of her words just now, is she complaining that I didn't give her a Valentine's Day gift? I naturally want to give her a gift, but I am afraid that I will be rejected. Sister Ying, let's go upstairs. I will take you to the private room upstairs. When Yang Ming saw that Zhao Ying was a little embarrassed, he understood that she was thin-skinned. Zhao Ying's temperament was like this. If he went too far, she would shrink back. Yang Ming must grasp this scale. I won't go. Chen Mengyan, Zhao Sisi, and the others should come in a while. After all, I have been your teacher. You will definitely not be used to talking together. Zhao Ying shook her head and said, I came to give you a gift. I will go first. Don't, Sister Ying. Aren't you very familiar with Mengyan? It's okay to be together. Yang Ming was stunned after listening to Zhao Ying's words, and then he quickly invited her. Zhao Sisi isn't familiar with Mengyan. Zhao Sisi isn't familiar with it. I'm Zhang Bing and Zhao Sisi's teacher. They definitely aren't used to it. Look at Zhang Bing. He's not used to it now. Zhao Ying smiled and said, well, I'll go first. I hope you guys have fun. This. Yang Ming was really inexplicable about Zhao Ying's behavior today. What is this? She just came to give me a gift? Then she left? However, seeing that Zhao Ying insisted on leaving, Yang Ming couldn't help it. He had to send her to the door, and then he waved goodbye to Zhao Ying. Originally, Yang Ming wanted to take the opportunity to apologize for the incident that day, but when he saw Zhao Ying's smiling face, Yang Ming really couldn't speak. This is simply too strange. Did Zhao Ying forget the unpleasantness of that day? But if she really forgot the unpleasantness of that day, then why didn't she stay for dinner? A woman's mind. Especially Zhao Ying's mind, Yang Ming still couldn't figure it out. It was really a headache. Yang Ming hated himself for being timid. If he had forcefully kissed Zhao Ying on that moonlit night, or even forcefully grabbed and touched her, and did something that was beyond friendship, things would have been settled, right? Bro, why did Miss Zhao leave? Zhang Bin saw that Yang Ming sent Zhao Ying away and asked, baffled. She was afraid that you and Cece wouldn't be used to it, so she left first. Yang Ming shrugged and said. Me? Not used to it with Cece? No way. Zhang Bin suddenly said bitterly, bro, how can you blame me for this? I have become a sinner, and yet. It's okay. In fact, sistering has something to do at school. Yang Ming saw that Zhang Bin was blaming himself, so he quickly comforted him. I just made a joke. Although Yang Ming didn't know why Zhao Ying insisted on leaving, he could guess the general reason. It should be related to the incident that day. Yang Ming naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to think that Zhao Ying had forgotten the incident that day. Zhao Ying didn't mention it because she didn't want to mention it. She didn't want to embarrass both of them, right? AI, you scared me to death. Zhang Bin sweated and said, bro, you really scared me to death. I almost became a sinner, don't talk nonsense. I have nothing to do with sistering. It's not the kind of relationship you think. Yang Ming was afraid that Zhang Bin, this guy, would say something. If Qin Mengyan knew about it, then it would be a bit messy, so he quickly told him. Oh, I understand. Zhang Bin looked like he knew everything and nodded with a smile. Damn. Yang Ming was so angry that he scolded, what do you understand? You understand. You don't understand anything. As they were fooling around, the hotel door was pushed open again. 4 girls came in. One of them was wearing a black professional suit. Naturally, she was Zhang Bin's wife, Zhao Cece. However, what surprised Yang Ming was the other 3 girls. Today, Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and Zhou Jiejia actually wore the same style of coat. Not only that, but even their hairstyles, scarves, gloves, and boots were exactly the same. They were like triplets. Yang Ming looked at the 3 beauties in front of him. He opened his mouth in surprise and couldn't speak. Chapter 1101. Seeing Yang Ming's stunned look, Qin Mengyan smiled and said complacently, how is it? Is it nice? It's nice. Yang Ming couldn't help but exclaim, whose idea is this? The 3 of you are more and more like sisters. Qin Mengyan blushed and didn't speak, but Zhou Jiejia said, it's Sister Qin Mengyan's idea. Yang Ming guessed that it was Qin Mengyan's idea. Lin Jiyun wouldn't take the initiative to do these things. Although it was possible for Zhou Jiejia, after all, she had just become familiar with Qin Mengyan and the others, so she was embarrassed to do these things. So the most likely person was Qin Mengyan. He didn't expect this girl to give him a surprise. Zhu Yuan Chun's boss, who was standing on the side, was shocked when he saw these 3 beauties dressed up. He didn't know what the relationship between these 3 people and Yang Ming was, but he didn't say much. After all, this had nothing to do with him. They came to his territory to spend money. If he did so, he would be hated for no reason. Seeing that Yang Ming's guests were all here, Zhu Yuan Chun's boss naturally retreated and let the waiter lead Yang Ming and the others to the private room on the 2nd floor. He didn't ask for a luxurious private room. Although these people were different this year, Yang Ming was still nostalgic and still asked for the private room from last year. Qin Mengyan, I remember that on this day last year, you said that you would celebrate my birthday, right? I didn't expect you to really fulfill your promise. When entering the private room, Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan joked. I thought you were lying to me. I didn't expect it to be your birthday today. Qin Mengyan said with some embarrassment. She didn't expect that the words she said in a hurry last year would become a reality this year. Thinking back, it felt like a dream. Her relationship with Yang Ming was really strange and sudden. Unknowingly, she had fallen hopelessly in love with this bad student who had once skipped class in her eyes. However, Chen Mengyan didn't regret it. On the contrary, she was very proud. In the past year, Yang Ming's great achievements were obvious to all. His opponents fell one by one under his hands, and he gradually became stronger. In particular, her father's approval of Yang Ming strengthened Chen Mengyan's conviction. Because of Chen Fei's profession, he was more picky about people. He didn't admire anyone easily, and he didn't think highly of anyone easily. However, his impression of Yang Ming was extremely good. Although Yang Ming had a relationship with another girl because of some strange circumstances, Chen Fei felt that these things couldn't be blamed on Yang Ming. In that case, Wang Jitao set a trap. Yang Ming was a normal young boy, so it was inevitable that he would make some mistakes. The key was whether Yang Ming could take this responsibility after making a mistake. Now it seemed that Yang Ming did a good job. Although Chen Fei didn't know that his daughter and Lin Jiyun had become sisters, Chen Fei still recognized Yang Ming's attitude at the beginning. "Boss, 3 sisters-in-law, please take a seat." Zhang Bin ran around the private room and did what a waiter should do. He took out the bowls and chopsticks from the disinfection cabinet. The waiter on the side was a little embarrassed. She also knew that this room was full of the boss's distinguished guests. It wouldn't be good if she neglected them. If she had to ask them to do it personally, wouldn't it show that she was incompetent? "Sir, I'll do it," said the waiter quickly. "No need. I'll do it myself." Zhang Bin waved his hand and smiled. "You go out and do your work. I don't need you here." Seeing that Zhang Bin insisted on doing it himself, the waiter couldn't help it. After all, some people like to do it themselves. The waiter had seen this before, but it was done by some subordinates in order to please the leader. Zhang Bin seemed to have a good relationship with Yang Ming. It wasn't a superior and subordinate relationship, right? However, listening to Zhang Bin calling Yang Ming boss, perhaps the two people were sworn brothers. In this way, it was not inappropriate for Zhang Bin to be more attentive. The waiter left the private room and was busy preparing the dishes. "Yang Ming, happy birthday to you." Chen Mengyan and Zhang Bin didn't speak, but Zhao Sisi spoke first. She handed a small box to Yang Ming and said, "This is your birthday gift." "Thank you." Yang Ming quickly took the gift. "I didn't expect you, Sisi, to give me a gift." Zhang Bin, this kid, has no memory. "No, he asked me to prepare it." Zhao Sisi smiled sweetly and said, "However, our economic strength is not as powerful as yours now. Don't look down on it." Yang Ming nodded secretly in his heart. It was indeed a blessing for Zhang Bin to find a wife like Zhao Sisi. Looking at Zhang Bin's appearance, Yang Ming knew that he didn't prepare any gift at all. The relationship between Yang Ming and Zhang Bin was very clear to each other. There was no need for such hypocritical things as gifts. When Yang Ming celebrated his birthday last year, Zhang Bin didn't give any gift, so this gift must be bought by Zhao Sisi herself. She just left enough face for Zhang Bin in front of outsiders. "Of course not. You and Zhang Bin gave it. Even if it's a pencil, it's also a thought." Yang Ming smiled and opened the gift. The thing inside made Yang Ming's eyes light up. It was actually a cartoon version of Yang Ming and Zhang Bing. Yang Ming was sitting in front of a desk while Zhang Bing was standing beside him and talking about something. It was exactly like their high school life. It was a replica of the two of them when they were in class. Holding the small handicraft in his hand, Yang Ming was really amazed. Zhao Sisi was really thoughtful. She actually gave such a gift. Although the value might not be very expensive, the meaning was extraordinary. Some worldly possessions were no longer attractive to the current Yang Ming, so this kind of commemorative gift made Yang Ming cherish and love it more. Wow, so similar. Even Chen Mengyan also exclaimed, "Cici, when did you order it?" "I asked our company's designer to help me make it." Zhao Cici saw that Yang Ming liked it very much, so she was relieved. After all, if Yang Ming didn't like it, she and Zhang Bin's face wouldn't be too good. "Mengyan, Jiyun, Jejia, where are the gifts for the three of you?" Yang Ming carefully put away the precious gift from Zhao Cici, and then asked Chen Mengyan and the other two. "Our gifts. We can't give it to you now. Let's talk about it after we go home later," Chen Mengyan said mysteriously. "Could it be that you left in a hurry and forgot to prepare it?" Yang Ming saw Chen Mengyan's strange look and asked with some doubts. Whether it is true or not, won't you know when you go home?" Chen Mengyan smiled and didn't say more. "Okay, but it doesn't matter if you don't give me a gift. Just give me all of you." Yang Ming smiled. He didn't care about birthday gifts. As long as the intention was there, it was fine. After listening to Yang Ming's words, Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and Zhou Jejia suddenly blushed. Zhou Jejia hadn't had sex with Yang Ming yet, so her face was the reddest at the moment. "What nonsense are you talking about? There are outsiders here." Chen Mengyan glared at Yang Ming and said. Zhang Bin and Zhao Cici aren't outsiders," Yang Ming said shamelessly. "Yes, Cici and I didn't see or hear anything." "Bro, sister-in-law, what were you talking about?" Zhang Bin also innocently echoed, "Look at my ears." It suddenly didn't work. If there is a chance, I have to fix it. After being teased by Zhang Bin, Chen Mengyan couldn't keep a straight face anymore. She laughed with everyone. At this time, the door of the private room was knocked. The waiter came in with the dishes. At this time, it wasn't lunchtime, and the boss specifically instructed, so the dishes were served quickly. In the blink of an eye, the table was full. Last year, there were only two people, Zhang Bin and Yang Ming, so they didn't order many dishes. But this year was different. The number of people increased to 6, so Zhang Bin also ordered more things. "Bro, happy birthday to you." Zhang Bin hesitated for a long time, but he couldn't find any good blessing words. It wasn't as simple as happy birthday, so he raised his glass and said, "Thank you." Yang Ming also raised his glass and touched it with Zhang Bin. Both of them drank. Chen Mengyan wanted to remind Yang Ming to drink less, but she saw that Zhao Cici didn't speak. It was rare for Yang Ming to be so happy today, so she thought about it and let it go. However, it was mainly Yang Ming and Zhang Bin who were drinking. Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhou Jejia, and Zhao Cici just tasted it and drank a little. In a peaceful and lively atmosphere, a year passed. Yang Ming grew up by another year. This was a period of growth. It allowed Yang Ming to go from a fledgling kid to the present, from being unknown to having the underground forces of the entire Songjiang city and Jidun city. It was just that Yang Ming was relatively low-key, so these things weren't known to outsiders. In the beginning, Chen Mengyan and the others didn't drink, but they couldn't stand the high atmosphere of the birthday party. Under the half-persuasion of Yang Ming and Zhang Bin, they also felt a little dizzy from drinking. "Let's go to karaoke later," Zhang Bin suggested. "Okay, let's go to the nightless club." Yang Ming was also a little drunk. Yang Ming's alcohol tolerance was still very good, but he was more happy today, so it was easier for people to get drunk. But basically, Yang Ming was still sober. "Don't. There is also karaoke in the private room. Let's do it here. You see that Jejia is almost asleep." Chen Mengyan waved her hand and objected. Yang Ming listened to Chen Mengyan's words and looked at Zhou Jejia. Sure enough, he didn't know when Zhou Jejia was already lying on the table. She seemed to have fallen asleep, and her small face was blushing. Zhou Jejia's alcohol tolerance was obviously not as good as Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and Zhao Cici. Lin Jiyun and Zhao Cici often participated in the company's cocktail party. Although they weren't wine lovers, as the company's bosses, if they didn't drink a glass before the party, the employees wouldn't be able to drink to their heart's content. So, over time, they also developed some alcohol tolerance. As for Chen Mengyan, it may be because she inherited Chen Fei's good wine gene. She could also drink 2 glasses, but it was worse than Lin Jiyun and Zhao Sisi. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. When a birthday song sounded, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun held the microphone and swayed gracefully in front of Yang Ming. Yang Ming's heart was a little drunk. This situation made Yang Ming feel very emotional. If it continued to be so peaceful. But obviously, Yang Ming also knew Chen Mengyan's temperament. She could accept Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia only because of some coincidences. Lin Jiyun was forced by Yang Ming. No matter what, Yang Ming had to take responsibility, so Chen Mengyan could only bear this responsibility for Yang Ming. Zhou Jiejia, on the other hand, blocked the bullet for Yang Ming. Chen Mengyan couldn't be indifferent to her. This was a girl who could even give up her life for Yang Ming, therefore, Yang Ming didn't think that Chen Mengyan would continue to accept others after accepting Lin Jiyun and Zhou Jiejia. It was true that Chen Mengyan also accepted Lan Ling and Suya, but that was only because these two had to be accepted. Chen Mengyan couldn't do anything about it. After the birthday song, everyone was casual. Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi sang a few love songs. Although Zhang Bin's voice wasn't very pleasant to listen to, he was emboldened by alcohol. His rough voice was quite interesting. After the two sang, they began to make a fuss and asked Yang Ming to sing with the 3 girls. However, since Zhou Jiejia was already drunk and asleep, only Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun could sing with Yang Ming. Yang Ming, Chen Mengyan, and Lin Jiyun sang a song by Shuya. The reason why they chose Shuya's song was clear in their hearts. They believed that Chen Mengyan was also deliberately showing her generosity in front of Yang Ming on Yang Ming's birthday. It was noisy until the evening when the lively birthday party ended. Zhou Jiejia was still in a daze. When Yang Ming and Chen Mengyan helped her up from the table, she asked, "Do you still want to drink?" "No. If you want to drink, drink at home." Yang Ming smiled. Only then did Zhou Jiejia realize that the party was over. She smiled apologetically and followed Yang Ming and others out of the hotel's private room. Yang Ming drank some wine, so he called Bao Sanli and asked him to drive over as a driver. At this time, Bao Sanli had already arrived here early. He was standing in the hotel lobby and chatting with the boss of Zhu Yuan Chun. Although the boss of Zhu Yuan Chun had heard of the name, Brother Bao, he had never seen him. Bao Sanli did not introduce himself. He just said that he was waiting for someone. When Bao Sanli talked with the boss of Zhu Yuan Chun, he deliberately led the topic to the scene where the gangsters came to cause trouble today. After listening to the boss of Zhu Yuan Chun's narration, Bao Sanli was also very puzzled. He had never given such an order. Now, the income of the Ming Yang Security Company, the Nightless Club, and Heavenly Earth was already quite considerable. There was no need to do anything to collect protection fees. Moreover, Ming Yang Real Estate had recently started to work with Zhou Jiejia's mother's real estate company and Sun Jie's family's company to build the largest resort in the province. The income of these projects was in the millions. They did not care about the income of the protection fees. Bao Sanli was sure that someone must have borrowed his name to swindle, but he had to say that this person was very good at seizing the opportunity and people's hearts because these people would not go to Bao Sanli to verify it. First, they could not see Bao Sanli easily. Second, they did not dare to go. This made Bao Sanli smile bitterly. He also understood that if this matter was not handled properly, it would have a great negative impact on the reputation of the Ming Yang Security Company. Originally, the Ming Yang Security Company was a brand to protect the safety of other people's property. On the contrary, it was extorting others. Bao Sanli naturally would not watch things continue to deteriorate. "Boss, don't worry. I will bring people over tomorrow and wait here. I will see who will ask you for money." Bao Sanli looked at the boss's sad face and comforted him. "Ah. You." When the boss heard Bao Sanli suddenly say this, he was somewhat inexplicable, but then he reacted and said, "Big brother, you are a policeman, right? AI, blame me for talking too much. This is the unspoken rule in our industry. You should not worry about it. Otherwise, I can hide tomorrow, but I can't hide in the future. Sooner or later, I will suffer. Anyway, I don't plan to run the restaurant anymore. After a while, I will find a suitable buyer to sell it. Now, I don't ask for anything else. I just want stability. I don't want to cause more trouble." This was indeed the real idea of Zhu Yuanchun's boss at the moment, because he really didn't want to continue operating. On the other hand, it was also because he was afraid of getting into trouble. Those punks were not easy to deal with. Indeed, the police came and scared them away, but what about the next day or the third day? Maybe when the police were not there, they would come back. The boss of Zhu Yuanchun did not dare to do this. Hee hee. Bao Sanli listened to the boss's words and smiled. Then, he took out his business card and handed it to the boss. He said, "This is my business card. Don't worry. I am here tomorrow. Nothing will happen." The boss quickly took the business card and glanced at the content on the business card. He suddenly showed a surprised expression. Although the name Bao Sanli was a bit unfamiliar, he was still clear about the title on it. General Manager of the Mingyang Security Company. Of course, Bao Sanli had other business cards, such as the Nightless Club, Heavenly World, etc., but now he needed the name of the Mingyang Security Company. Ah. The boss was shocked and quickly said with a trembling hand, "Brother Bao, are you Brother Bao?" Bao Sanli smiled and nodded. "Those people are not my men, so boss, you can rest assured. Leave these things to me." The boss just wanted to say something grateful, but he saw that Bao Sanli had turned his head. At this time, Yang Ming carried Zhou Jiejia and walked out with Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, Zhang Bin, and Zhao Sisi. After Bao Sanli saw it, he quickly greeted, "Brother Yang." However, Bao Sanli found that he couldn't help much. He couldn't help Yang Ming carry a woman, right? So, he had to stand there stupidly and didn't know what to do. "You go and open the door." Yang Ming nodded and instructed. Bao Sanli listened to Yang Ming's instructions and walked quickly to the hotel door with relief. Chapter 1102. The car that Bao Sanli drove this time was an Audi A8, which was bought at the request of Yang Ming. Indeed, it wasn't appropriate for a company's boss to drive a Jinbei van out all day long. Even if he didn't care, he had to pay attention to the company's image. After all, the car of a company's boss represented the strength of the company to a large extent. This was also something that couldn't be helped. Many customers would look at this point. If the car was too broken, they would think that you had no strength. Following Bao Sanli was a Buick minivan. Because Zhang Bin also drank too much, he couldn't drive. He could only go back by car. This A8 couldn't fit so many people. Zhang Bin and Zhao Sisi got in the Buick minivan behind. Yang Ming, Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and Zhou Jiejia got in the previous Audi A8. Yang Ming sat in the front passenger seat, and Chen Mengyan and the other two women sat in the back. The space of the Audi A8 was very spacious. The back seat was very big, and the three women were very petite, so it didn't seem too crowded when three people sat. It was completely possible for another one to sit. Because the three women were in the car, Bao Sanli didn't say too much about the things that happened when he chatted with Zhu Yuanchun's boss. However, since Yang Ming had already asked him to deal with this matter, after Bao Sanli dealt with it, he would report the results to Yang Ming. When Yang Ming came down from the private room upstairs, he naturally saw Bao Sanli talking to Zhu Yuanchun's boss. He also thought that it was probably because of the previous matter, so Yang Ming didn't ask much. For the place where Yang Ming now lived, Bao Bao Sanli was naturally familiar with it. He soon arrived at the Huashang district. Yang Ming, Chen Mengyan, and Lin Jiyun carried the sleeping Zhou Jiejia into the villa. Today's situation was special. Zhou Jiejia also asked for leave in advance, so she didn't need to go back to school. Upstairs, Yang Ming first settled Zhou Jiejia in the room, and then went downstairs. At this time, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun had already taken a bath. Yang Ming also knew that something would definitely happen tonight. He didn't know what kind of gift these two little girls prepared for him. Yang Ming sat on the sofa. He would leave early tomorrow morning. He didn't know how to explain it to Chen Mengyan, Lin Jiyun, and the others. He didn't know how long he would leave, but he couldn't tell them the truth. Yang Ming closed his eyes and thought. Suddenly, the lights in the hall dimmed, and the sound of dance music came from the sound system. Two slender figures flashed in the center of the hall. They were Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun. At this moment, the two of them had already changed out of their usual clothes. They were indeed wearing a set of very sexy sportswear. Only their bras and shorts were exposed. Around their waists, there was a string of glittering golden waist chains. As the rhythm of the dance music sounded, the two also began to dance. It seemed to be a kind of belly dance. Yang Ming was excited. He didn't expect that the gift prepared by the two would be this, a real erotic dance, and it was in his own home with only him as an audience. Yang Ming felt proud when he thought about it. Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun's figures were also excellent. Although they couldn't be compared with Wang Xiaoyan, a girl who had been exercising for a long time, it was already very good compared to ordinary people. Therefore, with the dim light, the two twisted their bodies. It was extremely sexy and seductive, which made Yang Ming's imagination run wild. However, although the two danced well, Yang Ming felt that some of the movements seemed to be somewhat out of place. It seemed that they weren't coordinated. He didn't know how the two rehearsed before. Didn't they notice it? At the end of the dance music, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun sat on both sides of Yang Ming. Perhaps because they drank a lot of wine before, even Lin Jiyun, who had always been shy, became bold at the moment. How is it? Do you like this gift? Chen Mengyan stuck her body to Yang Ming's side. She blushed and asked sweetly. Of course, I like it. Yang Ming nodded quickly. He thought, it would be great if you can dance in front of me once every day. Sister Lin and I learned at a fitness center near the company. Many of the company's employees have membership cards there. Sister Lin and I also have one. Chen Mengyan said, however, this dance rehearsal was done with 3 people. Who would have thought that Jiejia would get drunk so easily? It was a waste to teach her for a long time. Yang Ming listened to Chen Mengyan's words and suddenly realized. No wonder I felt that it wasn't coordinated before. It turned out to be this reason. This dance was originally done with 3 people. Now it had become 2 people. With one less person, it was naturally uncoordinated. It doesn't matter. When Jiejia wakes up, you can perform it again. Yang Ming said shamelessly. You wish. Today is your birthday, so I gave you a surprise. There won't be another one in the future. Chen Mengyan said. Then I will celebrate my birthday every day. Yang Ming smiled. You're not serious. Chen Mengyan said, well, the gift is given. I'm sleepy. I'm going to rest. Let Sister Lin accompany you tonight. Ah. Lin Jiyun was stunned and said, Sister Mengyan, didn't we agree before that it would be you? Previously, the two of them did discuss that Chen Mengyan would accompany Yang Ming tonight. However, when Chen Mengyan wanted to say it, she couldn't say it. Now, she realized how difficult it was for her to be the master of the harem in this family. She was afraid that Yang Ming would say that she was narrow-minded. Then, she had to be magnanimous. If she was magnanimous, she could only sacrifice her own interests. You two don't have to argue. Let's do it together today. Yang Ming said as he hugged both of them in his arms. What nonsense are you talking about? Chen Mengyan blushed and remembered the previous incident. I'm not talking nonsense. It's not like we haven't done it before. Wasn't it good last time? Yang Ming smiled. Last time, I was fooled by you without knowing it. This time, of course, it won't happen again. Chen Mengyan glared at Yang Ming and said, I haven't settled the score with you yet. In fact, Mengyan, do you think I'm such a licentious person? Yang Ming suddenly had an idea in his mind. He put away the previous frivolous expression and put on a serious face. I have always been a very serious person. You see, I have been with you for so long. Don't you know what kind of person I am? When we were in high school, I was always respectful to you. Chen Mengyan listened and thought in her heart, you really know how to talk nonsense. When we were in high school, was I your girlfriend? We were just ordinary classmates. Of course, you were respectful to me. But later, didn't you lie to me to help you in the movie theater? I haven't settled the score with you yet, however, seeing that Yang Ming was very serious, Chen Mengyan was also a little curious. She couldn't bear to continue Yang Ming's topic, so she asked, then why are you not serious today? Don't tell me it's because you are drunk. Today. Yang Ming sighed and said, in fact, this is the case. I am leaving tomorrow. Leaving? Where are you going? Chen Mengyan was stunned and asked quickly. Although Lin Jiyun didn't speak, she subconsciously grasped Yang Ming's arm and looked at Yang Ming nervously. Going to Africa. Yang Ming said the excuse that he had already thought of. I am leaving tomorrow morning. Going to Africa? Why are you going to Africa? Chen Mengyan asked in confusion. A friend helped to contact me. I am going to see the price of the gold mine and diamond mine. Aren't we in the jewelry business? If we want to develop and expand, we have to start with the raw materials. Otherwise, if the raw materials are always controlled by others, if there is a problem one day, and we lose the supply of raw materials, then our company will be in a state of paralysis. Yang Ming explained, so, if our company wants to continue to develop, we have to control our own supply. This is a good opportunity. I intend to explore. Ah. Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun were shocked at the same time. They exclaimed, I heard that it is very chaotic there. There are often civil wars in some small countries. If you go, don't worry. I am going to a normal place, not a small tribal country. Yang Ming naturally wouldn't say that he was going to country X, otherwise, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun would be worried to death. That's good. Chen Mengyan nodded. Then you have to be careful. Yang Ming nodded. In fact, he couldn't be considered to be lying to Chen Mengyan. The purpose of his trip to Africa this time was also to take over the diamond mine. He just had to do some other things. Chen Mengyan also knew that Yang Ming was going to Africa to do business. Even if she didn't want Yang Ming to go, Yang Ming would still go, so it was better not to stop him. She just reminded him to be careful. I don't know how long I will be gone, so I won't see both of you for a long time. Yang Ming sighed and smiled bitterly. You also know that both of you are equal in my heart. You are equally important, so I can't bear to part with either of you. Tonight, I can only be close to one person. Isn't this a regret before I leave? This. Chen Mengyan didn't expect that Yang Ming's reason would be this. However, to be honest, Yang Ming would leave tomorrow. She also missed Yang Ming. She also wanted to be close to him on the last night. Lin Jiyun should have the same idea, right? Thinking of this, Chen Mengyan was really in a dilemma. If I give this opportunity to Lin Jiyun, I'm not willing. If I don't, then my approach is a bit stingy and not generous. Do I really have to follow the intentions of Yang Ming, this big pervert? Thinking about serving Yang Ming with Sister Lin, Chen Mengyan's face was a little hot. She couldn't help but complain, then why didn't you say it earlier? You only said it today. Are you doing it deliberately? Do you want to satisfy your dirty wish of sleeping together? I'm innocent. Yang Ming quickly waved his hand and denied, Meng Yan, I haven't said it all this time. Isn't it because I'm afraid of disturbing your work? Recently, the company's matters are so busy. I'm afraid that after I say it, you won't have the mood to deal with the company's matters, so I can only endure the loneliness alone. Really? Chen Mengyan knew Yang Ming's ability to talk big. At this moment, she looked at Yang Ming with some doubt. However, Yang Ming's reason was also reasonable. He couldn't delay the business matters because of personal feelings. This wasn't what Chen Mengyan wanted to see. After all, everyone was still young. It wasn't the age to enjoy. Of course, it's true. Yang Ming sighed. I also know that this is a bit embarrassing for you, but things have come to this point. Chen Mengyan saw Yang Ming sigh, and she was a little annoyed. Yang Ming's reason was right, but Chen Mengyan could probably guess what Yang Ming was thinking in his heart. He should be expecting her to agree, right? However, Chen Mengyan wasn't such a licentious person. Although her relationship with Lin Jiyun was already very good, it could be said that the two of them were even better than biological sisters. They slept together and bathed together. Biological sisters would still hide their worries. However, Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun didn't have any distinction between each other because both of their lovers were Yang Ming, so there was no need to hide anything. However, although they were good, both of them couldn't accept having sex with Yang Ming on the same bed at the same time. Even if the two of them bathed together and had seen each other's bodies, that was another concept. Or, you go and Sister Lin first, and then come back to me. Chen Mengyan hesitated. She could only think of such a compromise. Then, like that day, sleep together in the end? Yang Ming asked quickly. In fact, he also knew that according to Chen Mengyan's character, it was very difficult to achieve a threesome. She wasn't Sun Jie, and she wasn't as bold as Sun Jie. This kind of thing was obviously impossible. However, it was already good to be able to take a step back now. Things had to be done bit by bit. Let's talk about it later. Chen Mengyan said perfunctorily with some guilty conscience. This was really a problem. In a while, it was somewhat inappropriate for Yang Ming to sleep with anyone. After all, Yang Ming would leave tomorrow. If it were normal times, it would be fine. She would just be modest, but now. Therefore, Chen Mengyan had to be vague. If Yang Ming really hugged both of them to sleep together, it would be fine as long as they didn't do anything. Anyway, he often slept with little Sister Lin. This night, as Yang Ming expected, when he hugged Sister Lin to Chen Mengyan's bed, Chen Mengyan just glared at him. Then, she didn't say anything more and let him lie between the two of them. The night was silent. In the morning of the next day, Yang Ming's phone rang. Yang Ming quickly turned off the ringtone. He glanced at Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun who were sleeping next to him and smiled slightly. Yesterday's matter, there should be some progress, right? After leaving the room, Yang Ming picked up the phone. It was a call from Fang Tian. Yang Ming, how is it? Are you ready? Fang Tian's voice came out from the phone. When are we leaving? Asked Yang Ming. You and Wang Xiaoyan come to my house to find me. I will take you, said Fang Tian. Okay, I will prepare now. Yang Ming finished briefly and hung up the phone. Walking to the door of Zhou Jiejia's room, Yang Ming carefully opened the door. Zhou Jiejia was sleeping soundly. Her small face was red, which was very cute. Yang Ming couldn't help but walk over and kiss her face. Zhou Jiejia's eyelashes suddenly moved. Yang Ming was shocked, but he was relieved after looking carefully. Zhou Jiejia was still sleeping. Maybe she was just disturbed by her beautiful dream? Yang Ming carefully left the room, then quickly put on his clothes and went downstairs. He couldn't tell Zhou Jiejia that he was going to leave, but he believed that Chen Mengyan and Lin Jiyun would tell her. After Yang Ming left, Zhou Jiejia opened her eyes. In fact, when Yang Ming kissed her, she had already woken up. She was just a little embarrassed. She didn't know at the moment that Yang Ming was going to leave. Otherwise, she wouldn't continue to pretend to be asleep. After that, when Chen Mengyan told Zhou Jiejia that Yang Ming had left, Zhou Jiejia reacted. In the morning, it should be Yang Ming who came to say goodbye to her. Thinking of this, Zhou Jiejia was still very happy. This proved that Yang Ming still had her in his heart. Today was the day of action. Wang Xiaoyan got up early, dressed up, and quietly waited for Yang Ming to come over. Wang Xiaoyan also knew that yesterday was Yang Ming's birthday, and they were going out today. Yang Ming would definitely be intimate with his girlfriends for a while, so she didn't call to urge him. When she heard the sound of the door opening, Wang Xiaoyan looked up and saw Yang Ming pushing the door and coming in. For Yang Ming to be able to open the door of the villa, Wang Xiaoyan wasn't surprised. The security system of the villa was originally installed by Yang Ming, and Yang Ming had the universal lily key in his hand. You're here? Can we go now? Wang Xiaoyan stood up and looked at Yang Ming with a smile. Are you okay? You didn't sleep much last night, right? Whether there is a problem or not, you don't know yourself? I slept with you all night. Aren't you still very energetic the next day? Yang Ming retorted. Humph, Wang Xiaoyan snorted and picked up a small bag on the sofa. It's fine if you don't take the things. Someone will naturally meet us when we get there. Yang Ming said, it's inconvenient to carry them. Alright, then we'll take the glass dagger and the lipstick pistol. The rest of the things are at home. Wang Xiaoyan nodded and said. The two people went into battle lightly. Wang Xiaoyan sat in Yang Ming's car, and they drove all the way to Fang Tian's residence. Yang Ming didn't want to mention Fang Tian's matter to Wang Xiaoyan, let alone let her meet with Fang Tian. After all, Fang Tian's identity was quite special. Yang Ming naturally had to be cautious. However, it seemed that Fang Tian didn't care much about it. He asked Yang Ming to take Wang Xiaoyan directly to find him. Then, what was there for Yang Ming to be afraid of? He just had to do it. However, Wang Xiaoyan wouldn't know Fang Tian. Why are we back in Shantytown again? Wang Xiaoyan looked out of the window with some doubts. The headquarters of the Black Widows organization used to be in Shantytown, but now they had moved away. She didn't know why Yang Ming drove the car back here. You're tuning into the A Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.